Hello and welcome to another episode of the Uncommon Energy Podcast. On this week's episode, we'll be breaking down the results from this past weekend's Liverpool Regional Championships. Giratina tried its best to take down one more tournament, but forgot it was playing in Mew's home region. We'll talk about the results there in a bit. We'll also, of course, talk about the upcoming regional championships this weekend. Not one, but two regionals happening this weekend. There's the Knoxville Regional Championships, which Azul and I will both be at. And there's also the Melbourne Regional Championships taking place down under in Australia. We, of course, will have everyone's favorite segment of the podcast, Guess That Flavor Text. And then we're going to wrap up this episode by talking about the brand new sets being out. Paldean Fates is out now in the US, North America, the rest of the world. Outside of Japan, they've had those cards for a while. And while we're getting to play with this fun little mini set, Japan gets a whole new crazy set that's got a bunch of awesome cards and rotation and all this stuff. Feeling a little left out, to be honest,
Yeah.
outside looking in. We'll look at, the things that are good about Paldean Fates. It's a fine set. It's a good reprint set to have. But then also we'll talk about some of the stuff that's seeing early success over there in Japan. And then, of course, we'll have our bonus episode over on the Patreon, 30 extra minutes every single week. If you want to support us over there on Patreon, you get access to all our past bonus episodes and each future episode every single week. My name is Chip Ritchie, joined here as always by my friend and co-host Azul GG. What's up, Azul? How we doing, man?
Doing pretty good, Chip. Had a good week of content. I actually stayed up, or not stayed up. I woke up early for the Liverpool streams, and I only missed the first round of each day, which was good. Missed round one of day one, round one of day two, but then was able to stream all of it. Day one, I was actually pretty good, but day two kind of hit me. Day two caught up with me a little bit. I even went to bed earlier and got more sleep. Got 4 hours the first night and then 6 hours the second night, but yeah, getting going on the second day was rough, but it was fun, and I definitely plan on doing that more, with the upcoming European regionals as well, doing, the live streams or, live gameplay reactions. So we got, Knoxville coming up this weekend. I'm not gonna be doing Melbourne, unfortunately. Oh, actually, they don't even have a stream, do they? So I won't even have to worry about
I
that.
don't know. I don't think that anything's been announced.
The last time they had a stream, they just streamed top 8 of one of them last
I
season. I
think
think the last
so.
one
Yeah,
last
and
season.
ESL did it,
Yeah,
so I'm not
but,
sure.
Dortmund's, the week after Knoxville, so I'll be waking up early for the Dortmund regionals, and then more exciting, the weekend after that is Champions League Fukuda, which will
Mm.
have all the new cards with rotation, so I'm really, really excited to watch that live. Being able to get, access to all these dates and kind of plan out my content ahead of time with this kind of stuff has been really nice, especially with that. So I'm really excited. Champions League Fukuda, I'm super excited for that. Right now, everything feels so boring in Pokemon compared to just I'm not even gonna be playing either. I'm just excited to watch the new cards and see what rotation does to the meta. And we'll talk about some early results from Japan later on in the episode as well. But yeah, content was good this weekend. Watching the Liverpool Regional Championships was fun. It's been a little bit hot this weekend. I already have my AC unit in my window. I put it in last night. So it was 75
It was pretty
on
hot here this
Saturday.
past weekend as well. It was in the 70s, low 70s as well.
Yeah.
Cooled back down. It's back in the 40s, 50s and stuff like that today, but definitely
Wow.
had a bit of a hot wave come through in January. You don't usually expect that.
Yeah, I know. I was I did not to, and 70's
I
not
mean, you're
that
in
bad.
California though, so it's a little different, but
Yeah, it doesn't get as cold over here. And 70's not that bad, but in my room with my computer on, my lights on, and everything, it gets pretty warm in here. So
mhm.
I had to get the AC unit out, get it in the window just in case. This week is supposed to cool down a little bit for sure. But yeah, that was my week. Chip, how about you? What were you up to?
Yeah, not too much. Had a pretty chill, normal week. I did play in a league challenge this weekend. I haven't played in a local tournament in quite a while, so that was fun. Got to go out there. Play some Pokemon. It was the store's first ever league challenge, and there was 33 people there,
Like,
which is
How
pretty
they
hype, honestly.
how did they do? How'd the store do for their
The
first?
store did pretty good. The one of the um judges running it, he runs some of the other tournaments in the area and stuff like that, and he does a pretty good job. So overall, It was solid, and I think I haven't been to their locals, but they have like a pretty sizable locals on Friday nights, I think. So I think they were used to like having a decent amount of people there. So it went pretty well. I was definitely pleased, and we'll try to go back because there's not many stores. There's a lot of stores and tournaments like in North Carolina, but only a handful like that are close to like the Raleigh area where I live. And this one was in Cary, North Carolina, which is a little outside, but it's like not that far, like 15 minutes away. So it definitely would be very exciting if they get to the point where they can have like league cups and stuff like that. And it's like that close to my house. Cause
Yeah.
usually to go to cups and stuff, like the closest store that does cups regularly is like, 25 minutes away probably. And there's another one that's like 45 minutes away. So closer is better for sure. But yeah, had a good time. And I think with that being said, we can hop into the rest of the episode. First thing, just some announcements. We did post another new video on our brand new channel, the Uncommon Energy channel. It's linked in the description if you guys haven't checked it out. It's Azul and I's, I guess secondary channel to the podcast. This is
Yeah.
kind of the focus of Uncommon Energy is the podcast, but when we want to create other types of Pokemon content, we're going to put it on that channel. We've posted 2 videos and the reception has been very positive. So thanks so much to everyone for checking those out. And one of the videos, the one we just posted, is a video about Paldean Fates using some cards that the Pokemon Company was kind enough to send over to us, and the Pokemon Company International, I should say. And we are also giving away some of these cards. So if you want to go check out that newest video on the Uncommon Energy channel, youtube.com/at uncommon_energy, and leave a comment on the newest video. Or if you want to go over to Twitter, follow us on Twitter and like the post that I'm showing on the screen now. If you are listening, you can just scroll on the Twitter and you'll see it. You get a chance to win some of the new Paldean Fates cards that they were kind enough to send over us. To shout outs to TPCI for doing that.
Yeah. The new content's been sick. Me and Chip got like a lot of ideas for it. A lot of it is, of course, like us having to be in person together. So
Yeah,
it
that's
like
the kicker.
limits are like we got together. Was it after Charlotte?
Yeah.
And then we had plans. We already have some plans to be me meeting or staying over at Chip's place. Again earlier in this half of the year. So we'll try and keep the content flowing out over there. You guys have really enjoyed it, and yeah, I think there's a lot of potential for the kind of stuff we're doing over there. So I'm really excited with the kind of content we want to put out over there. And it's really just going to be up to us to try and make it all work and try and be consistent with it. But definitely go check it out for sure. We really appreciate the support so far from over there.
Yeah, and again, be sure to check out the newest video and also our post on Twitter to get yourself a chance to be entered in the giveaway to get some Paldean Fates cards. I had a bunch of fun opening up the set. Azul, I know you've been playing some of the set on your stream today. We'll talk a little bit about our thoughts on the set, but yeah, shout outs again to TPCI for hooking us up. And with that being said, let's hop over to the Liverpool Regional Championships that took place this past weekend. 1,510 players over there in Liverpool. I believe I saw a tweet from Chris Brown that said it was the
Biggest over there,
largest
European regional.
European tournament ever, which is kind of insane,
Well,
right?
was that bigger than EUIC?
Let me see what his tweet said.
I think EUIC was 18. Am I trolling?
Well, it's more than just whenever
Yeah,
he's
but
saying largest Pokemon tournament, it's not just like TCG, right?
neither was EUIC. It really was that. I guess it's possible. Maybe it was. Maybe it
Yeah, his
was.
tweet, he did say the Liverpool regional this weekend is massive, largest ever in Europe. And just 1 week after Charlotte was the largest
Mm,
ever anywhere. Community keeps growing. Great to see everyone come together. Hashtag play Pokemon.
okay. I feel like that could be referencing regionals or not.
Yeah, maybe
It's,
so.
yeah, it's hard to like decipher. I'm like trying to
Yeah,
find.
I think it does say regional largest ever 1 weekend after Charlotte was the largest
Yeah,
regional ever anywhere. So
UIC 2023. Oh no, UIC was 15 as well.
EUIC this year though is
Is
gonna be
gonna be
crazy,
it's gonna be
man.
2K. If they it just depends on how much space they give us, to be honest. I think it literally there's gonna be a ton of Americans going for sure. I think a lot more American players, Latin American players, even like the Japanese players are like uh starting to make their way over to these ICs, especially because like EUIC is like not that expensive in comparison to some regionals, like even in
Yeah.
comparison to like regional, like especially for like the Canadians, like a Canadian coming to America is probably, and I don't know this for sure, but it's probably it costs just as much to go to Europe as it does to come to America for a lot of Canadians. So yeah, these the EUICs are going to be, there's going to be a lot of Americans going to this one. I think we just kind of, I think it's always been this way as well. I think a lot of people just assumed with international travel that it would be, and it is like more days off, I guess, compared to a regional, probably for a lot of people. But even like London from the East Coast is like 8 hours, so it's like not
Yeah.
too far. You can still like only take off Friday and theoretically get back.
And honestly, like
Um,
to what you were saying too, like if you live on the East Coast, like somewhere near like Boston, JFK, like any of
yeah,
those kind of like more international
actually, maybe it
airports,
was
like you
6 hours
can get
from Boston.
you
If I'm
can get
remembering right.
pretty good cheap flights, to be honest, from the East Coast of the US
London,
uh
yeah.
to London. And almost like cheaper than flying to LA, right? Because
Oh
like we've
yeah,
got a
yeah.
regionals later this year in LA. Um
I
and
guess
it's
it is just
probably
the
about
time
the
off.
same amount of airtime, maybe another additional hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, something
Yeah.
like that to go to London.
The biggest thing is just like that time off work for a lot of people. Is like, can they get
Sure.
that extra day off work, or do they want to take the extra day off work? But if like that's not like a hindrance for some people, yeah. And I've been like saying this like since the beginning of last season when like people like ask questions to me about like what tournament should I go to, or I've been preaching like try and go to some of these ICs. It's better. It's like a cooler location to go to for a lot of people. Better return on your potential championship points or even
Yep.
like prize earnings. And then it's just a bigger, cooler event as well. The ICs are as well. So the biggest hindrance, I think, for a lot of people, just maybe getting that extra time off work. But yeah, if you're just looking to go to some major tournaments throughout the year, excuse me, if you're just looking to go to major tournaments throughout the year, especially like people who are maybe looking to be more competitive going into next season, definitely take some time to see if you can do some ICs over maybe some of the more regionals. I don't even know where I was going with that. Yeah, instead of some of the regionals, look at the ICs,
Yeah, yeah.
see if it makes sense for you. They're definitely worth it.
Yeah, and the EUIC registration has not gone up yet. Probably will be
Not
going up
yet.
soon.
It
So,
should be. Yeah, everything has been pretty consistently like 2 months out. I feel like
yeah.
that was like RK9's. I don't want to say promise, but they kind of put that out there. Like we're gonna try and have every registration up 2 weeks or 8 weeks. I think is what they said in
Yeah.
their tweet. 8 weeks before our tournament, we're gonna have registration open. They're slacking a little bit on EUIC, I think, right now, right? Because is EUIC the beginning of April or the end of March?
It's
I
the
actually don't
beginning of
remember.
April.
Okay, so they're basically riding the line here. Oh, they got a couple. They got like a week, right? They have like
Yeah,
a
they
week.
got
Yeah,
time, buddy. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. 5 days if they want to like stay true to the 8 week thing or just about. Um, but they've been pretty consistent with that. It's been cool to see them be consistent with that as well.
No, they got until like eight weeks out from the tournament is February the 9th.
Oh, okay. They got a little bit of time then. We haven't heard anything yet, though. We haven't heard anything, but I'm sure we'll hear something in the next week or two for sure, or should be up in the next week or two. I would imagine.
I would say for some of these more international tournaments, like I think the 8 weeks thing is fine for regionals, right? That's 2 months is plenty of time to plan
Yeah,
domestic travel for most people. But for the international stuff, it would definitely be nice to know that you could have a spot locked up whenever you're booking your travel because the longer you wait to book travel, the more expensive it gets for sure.
yeah. I mean, we did just kind of talk about how reasonable. Well, Europe's still pretty. I think
It
even
also does depend on where you're like coming
traveling from, because
from.
like yeah, like I
Yeah,
said, Europe or East Coast America is like not that bad at all.
it's not, but it is going up, right?
Of course, of course.
But yeah, let's look at the decks that did well in Liverpool. Looking at the day one meta share, really not a surprise at this point to see Charizard
Dude,
holding true, 17% meta share. It's been pretty consistently number one and pretty
yeah,
consistently like 17% as well for the last like 5 tournaments. I feel like basically ever since you won it with it in San Antonio.
yeah. I've actually had quite a people. Few. I mean, even before that, like Stuttgart and Gdansk, it was
Yeah,
like up
yeah.
there as well. Like it's been. I actually think Charizard might be the best deck in format. Like I've thought about this, and I kind of talked about this. I don't know last week or maybe it was on my stream. I don't remember, but like I guess like my idea of the best deck in format is like the meta doesn't matter. Like the best deck for a meta is different than the best deck in format. But as we see the metas evolve and change and stuff, it's like Charizard doesn't have many bad matchups. That the decks that Charizard does really struggle against, like the Gardevoirs and stuff, have way worse matchups than Charizard does,
Yeah.
right? And even something like Tina does not want to go up against the Miraidons and the Roaring Moons or the Mews. And Charizard's like the only thing Charizard's really scared of is Guardy, right? Like
Yeah.
that's like the one matchup you're like, all right, I hope I don't hit Guardy or something with like 2 or 3 TM Devos, but apparently the only decks that are doing that are Charizard, as we saw from the top 8 of Liverpool, which we'll talk about here in a second.
Yeah.
So, um, I honestly, yeah, I think Charizard just is the best overall deck. Now, there are metas that could come up in these last couple of regionals before rotation where Charizard's not that good of a play. Um, but it really does come down to what the community and the player base is willing to play, and it doesn't seem like the the metas that are being generated for these major tournaments are hostile enough to like make Charizard maybe not like the best overall play or close to it for like every single tournament. Because I think all the other decks are a little bit more fragile in their matchup spread.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think like the close one in the format for sure, kind of what has become, I think, the like cornerstone matchup of the format is Charizard versus Giratina.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
like, definitely the two most powerful decks it feels like right now in the format. And have been consistently the two most popular as well. We see here in Liverpool, Miraidon was just slightly more popular than Giratina in day
Yeah.
one, but pretty close enough to almost be a wash, right? Um, and we've seen that matchup play out many, many times, and we've seen it go both ways, to be honest. I think the Giratina players definitely think like it's pretty decently favored for them, not like amazingly fist pumping, loving to hit the matchup, but they feel like it's favored. And I feel like the Charizard players are all like, oh, it's fine. So usually I would say whenever it leans that way, like whenever one side of the matchup, most of the players think it's favored, and the other side of the matchup, the players think it's not that bad. Usually it in reality means that it is a little favored the way of the players that think it's favored.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it comes down to what the Tina player plays. If they got the TM Devo, they're definitely favored. If they
Sure.
got 4 Path, it might lean slightly Tina favored. But if they have 3 Path, I honestly think it's Charizard favored. But it's like overall, like across the spread of what Charizard players are bringing and what Tina players are bringing, it's like a 50-50, I think. I think it's pretty close. Um, I
Says
think
the
you do.
Charizard player.
I think you do. I think once you learn the matchup really well on the Tina side, the Charizard player is the player who's doing the more work and has to make the more tougher decisions throughout the game. But I think, yeah, once you get it down on the Tina side, then like the matchup
Charizard
flows a little bit better for you. But
Charizard also gets a little bit of edge in the consistency department between the two decks, I would say.
yeah. Yeah, turn 2, just candy swing with a Charizard, sometimes that's enough to beat, like, any deck, so including Tina, sometimes that's too much for Tina to handle as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely gains that edge for sure.
Then we do
Um,
see the two beat stick decks still being pretty well represented. I guess 3 beat stick decks. Mew kind of still fits in that category, I guess, but mostly talking here about Miraidon EX, 12% of the meta, and
yep.
Roaring Moon holding strong at 9%. Is that just going to be kind of the new normal? Like, is Roaring Moon just for the rest of this format going to be a solid 8 to 10% deck?
I think the big thing for Moon has to be the Guardy matchup. Like, Guardy is not even on the day 1 graphic here, right?
Yeah.
That's like because like, if once you remove Guardy from the equation, Roaring Moon feels like it's literally just like Miraidon, but they're different, obviously, right? Like, Miraidon has more ways to draw prize cards off small Pokemon, and Roaring Moon has Frenzy Gouging, so the big Pokemon are less of an issue for Roaring Moon, right? But besides that, they're very similar in kind of their matchup spread and how they feel into a lot of matchups, for sure. Like, Roaring Moon's
Moon
better
is better
against
into Tina though than like.
well, I would say
Well, I guess
Miraidon's better against Tina, but I would say Moon is better against Mew.
okay,
Moon is
sure.
better against honestly, Moon and Miraidon struggle against Charizard. I actually, after playing that matchup a little bit more, I don't mind it as much on the Miraidon side. And if you're a Miraidon player out there who's trying to figure out the Charizard matchup, you sometimes just have to take it slow. You got to know when to be aggressive, but also you have to know when to go. I'm not going to attack this turn because I don't want to let you do more damage next turn. So, um, yeah, I mean, all
Attacking
matchups when
for
they're
one
played well.
prize is rarely correct, I feel like, as the Miraidon
Yeah,
player.
attacking for 1 prize card. I mean, I've heard some people been preaching the amp you very much, or not the amp you very much,
Arm press.
the arm press strategy where you arm press for 1 prize card because then the Charizard can't KO your hands. But I don't know if I like that because it still offsets your prize trade. You still have to draw 3 knockouts
Counter
after that.
catcher.
And also, counter catcher is a pretty good response to that. But I think it's pretty close between the two. Maybe we give Roaring Moon the edge
The arm press
right
strategy
now.
actually probably is decent though, because as Miraidon, you can only have well, I guess it depends on if you have Mew or Squawkabilly in play. You probably have to have both of those in play, so
Well, or Raikou or
yeah, but
Raichu.
not
There's
even everyone's
or
playing Raikou anymore, and you
if you
can
play the
control not
Vitality
putting Raichu
Band,
in play.
if you play the Vitality Band, you can counter catch the Miraidon.
Yeah, but nobody's playing Vitality Band, bro. You've meta manipulated Vitality Band out of the
Also,
format.
you can now, because everyone is playing Radiant Charizard, now that I've meta manipulated Radiant Charizard into all the lists, you can just go 4 energy Radiant Charizard on turn 2 as well, if you really want to.
Sure. with
And
your
if you have
6 energy list.
yeah, and if you got the double super out, it's easy to recover from that.
I remember when
So
we first played Charizard at Toronto. Yeah, it was Toronto. Was it Toronto? Yeah,
yeah,
it
it
was
was Toronto, yeah.
Toronto where we had 8 fire energy, right? Caleb was like preaching in the Miraidon matchup to like turn to 5 energy radiant Charizard.
Yeah, he
It
was
was
like,
like
"Bro, you
that,
just wait on."
he was like, dude, I've been playing it at locals and I just go turn to 5 energy Radzard and just bop them. They can't do anything.
Honestly, forcing Radzard as soon as possible in the 2 prize matchups is correct. Like, against Moon and Miraidon, you do wanna attack with Radiant Zard as soon as possible. But, yeah, I don't what he was saying back then was, like,
Yeah, there was
they
there
they had
was
no way
8
to
energy in the list then,
yeah, only 1
but
rod.
1
Yeah, but
super
also, like,
rod.
but back then, like, they didn't have hands to pressure you. They were drawing 1 prize card to begin
That's
with.
true
You don't
too.
have to attack with Radiant Zard as a response to, a Miraidon for 1 prize card for sure.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Past that, we did have the Mew is there at the end. This is actually one thing have a little bit of a I don't know. I just feel like there's so much more to talk about and look at here. I really wish that there would be an extended day one graphic in metas like this where the meta is so wide. I would like to see like the top 10 decks, you know? Probably don't put them all in one graphic here, but 2 graphics, top 5 into the next 5, just pan over to the next 5. It would give you guys, the casters, more stuff to talk about and analyze. Because it'd be really nice to see in metas that are really wide like this. I really want to know what that 7th deck is. I know it's Gardevoir, but then I also want to know what the 8th deck is as well, right?
Sure.
So I feel like there's a lot of information here that I wish it was just kind of apparent on the screen. And you can go to like PokeStats Live, um, and look it up as well, of course, right? But information is like a little bit skewed, right, or different.
Yeah, it's not perfect information.
Yeah, where I feel like the information we're getting from the stream graphics is a little bit more solid. Um, but it's close. I think it's close. I don't think PokeStats Live is kind of off because of people not reporting, right? So you really don't
Yeah,
know where you're at with that. Like
yeah.
here on the PokeStats Live data, Guardy's number 5, but I think we know for sure that's not there. Also, like, because especially like when you have decks like Snorlax Stall, which is like a very highly respected deck in the meta, but obviously not a very well played, it would still be kind of cool to know where that positions against some of the other stuff. So yeah, that's one thing I would like to see from the stream is like when we have these wider metas to show more decks on the day one meta chart and day two meta charts when the
Sure.
metas are as wide as they are like right now.
Yeah, there's definitely a ton of decks that are viable right
Yeah.
now. And yeah, for sure would be interesting to know and definitely would give us more to talk about, which is never a bad thing. But yeah, that's the day 1 meta. Let's move into day 2. 147 people made it into day 2. And Charizard stayed strong at the most played deck. I feel like that's something we haven't seen in a few tournaments.
Yeah, it usually falls off. It usually
It
becomes number 2,
does.
number 3.
And then something else jumps way far ahead. But we
Usually
see Tina
Tina.
picked it up a little bit, but didn't get a massive jump. Really,
Yeah.
the deck that probably made the biggest jump is the Gardevoir EX because
Yeah.
it's not even on the day 1 graphic. It probably is right here at 7, like you said. But we see here in day 2, 11% third most popular deck of day 2.
Yeah, and that was a surprise to me because we talked about it last week. I thought Gardevoir would be definitely. I would thought Gardevoir would be 10% for sure. Because I think we have seen now. I don't think there's too much of a difference between the regions in terms of meta percentage of decks. When tournaments is really small, there is the potential for that. So on the past, like Australia has definitely been their meta games have been a little bit more wonky, and you don't want to read to them and into them as much as you do with the larger tournaments. But at past a certain point, like probably like I don't know the thousand, like the maybe not even 1,000 players, like past like 700 players, 500 players. At that point, it's kind of like they're roughly the same metas. At that point, take a 500 player European tournament, 500 player North American tournament. The meta percentages are going to be pretty close or within a margin of error.
Mhm.
But I think there are some decks that sometimes stand out as being decks that are more. And Guardia, I think, was one of them, whereas like a little bit more popular in Europe. I think that was like a something that was pretty consistent. But yeah, even in Europe for this one, it wasn't even in the top 6. We've kind of been seeing Guardy have like a steady downtrend, which is weird because it feels like the meta is getting better for Guardy, right? Like
Yeah, I think
Miraidon
Guardy might
isn't.
be a little bit of an intimidating deck, right? Like, you
It
look at
definitely
the other
is.
options in the format, even Charizard, the most popular deck, Charizard is kind of linear compared to something like the
Of course, yeah.
Gardevoir. Um, and then if you look at the other 2 decks that have really started to be very popular the last, um 2 months or so. It's the Roaring Moon and the Miraidon, right? And
Yeah.
those
And
decks,
well,
like you
Murata
said,
was
are very similar. Miraidon has been popular already in the past, so
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
it's got some holdover there for sure. But Roaring Moon was kind of the new hotness coming out of Paradox Rift. It was pretty popular at LAIC, dipped down a little bit, but
A lot.
it's found its place once again. And um, I don't know. I mean, a deck like Roaring Moon just feels like way more fun to play than something like Gardevoir. I don't know. Gardevoir almost feels
Yeah.
very try-hardy, and I think and there's
It's like a
nothing
chore to
wrong with
play.
that. Gardevoir is probably a little bit better of a deck, right? But Roaring Moon is definitely like there's a bit of a different appeal almost, it feels like.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that for sure. I think it is. I think it is coming. It's one of those things where it's kind of coming around. Where it's like sometimes it takes a while for people to understand that this deck is not the deck you should be playing for where you are in the game, or the time you have to put into the game, or the effort you even want to individually put into the game. And we can see it the other way sometimes, where it's like this deck is better than people are giving it credit for, and it is a deck that kind of checks a lot of the boxes for a lot of players, but it just hasn't gotten really there yet. I think Roaring Moon is probably that deck kind of on the opposite side of that, where it's like it has like a stigma around it post LAIC. The deck's bad, it can't beat anything. Guardy was insanely popular at LAIC though. That's one of the reasons for his poor performance. But as the meta evolved, it's like, Guardy's not that good in the meta. Hands is really good. Oh, Miraidon's here. And now it's like, oh, Charizard's here. So the meta's gotten like better for Gardevoir, but I guess we aren't seeing like the players come back to Gardevoir, and they are going other places. Because they probably have kind of come to terms with like what they deem being reasonable for them to try and attempt to pull off. And the Gardevoir probably doesn't fit the criteria for as many players as many players thought it did initially. A deck being really good doesn't mean you should play a deck. And I think I just see that getting preached a lot more in the Pokemon TCG. Something I've been saying a lot recently is just like, um, you should try and like pick a deck that works for you for what you can do in the game currently, how much effort and how much time you can put into the game. And ideally, picking like just a solid deck a couple of weeks out from a tournament. And it feels like a little bit riskier to maybe try and lock in something like Gardevoir, because if the Miraidon show up, the hands show up, you're not going to have as good of a time. As something like a Roaring Moon, because even if you run into some Gardevoirs with Roaring Moon, you're still a fast deck. You still take some dubs, right? So, um, yeah, I guess that does kind of make sense. And I guess I kind of don't expect Gardevoir to make like a major comeback then. Um, as we progress through the meta, it'll probably sit in that like 8 to 7% range, and maybe that's kind of where it belongs. Like the really what do you say, try hard, try hard type players, the players who have want to put in the time, want to put in the effort, and play a deck that has that much depth to it, like Gardevoir, they'll still pick it up. But besides that, it probably is. It's better for the vast majority of players to probably not pick up Gardevoir to begin with, no matter how good of a play it might seem.
Well, let's look at the results here from Liverpool hopping over to Limitless, and it was Mew VMAX taking it all down, and Fabrizio Inga Silva coming over from Peru to compete in the event. Did get the first place finish with the Mew VMAX. We've joked before about people being like a certain deck's strongest soldier, right? Fabrizio is without a doubt. Maybe I don't know. He and Xander might have a little bit of a
Yeah, there's a
fight off to
couple.
see who is Mew's true strongest
Yeah,
soldier.
we gotta put Vance up there as well. Vance took out the
Vance,
big
yeah,
one and has
call
been
him really
playing Mew for a while.
Matthews, yeah.
Yeah. Mew definitely has its followers. Is
It's
it a
got its
cult? I
army.
don't know. It's got its army for sure.
But it was
Um,
Fabrizio taking down the event with the Mew VMAX. And it does, speaking of Vance, look very similar to Vance and Ian Robb's list.
yeah, yeah. That's where that like the double fusion sparkle build initially got popularized. The only difference that I see is there's a Lost City in here over something, but I don't know what the change is. Um,
Did they play four path?
no, they were on the three path as well.
I
I'm
can
trying
look
to
it
like
up.
figure out what the difference is. Maybe it was just a nest ball or a feather ball. There's still the four vacuum in here, which when I was watching the finals play out between Fabrizio and Brent, and they actually played against each other twice in the tournament. I forgot, like the first round that I casted or watched was them playing against each other, and I completely forgot that going into the finals. But that would have been a good talking points that they already played, and Fabrizio did beat Brent 2-0 twice, I believe. Um, but yeah, this has kind of become just like the standard double turbo Mew. With the sparkle, with the fusions, which is kind of funny or interesting because like in this tournament specifically, there wasn't that much Spiritomb. And the number one deck that the Sparkles just helped you kind of auto beat the Sparkle Fusions was the Rapid Strike deck, which has kind of been nowhere to be seen recently. Um, Or did they just have no, they had lost it. What's the difference?
The Switch cart for the Switch, but there was a lot of people in Charlotte that played that list with Switch over Switch cart.
Yeah.
Fabrizio only played 3 Cram-O-Matic,
Oh, the three crams.
and that's where the Lost City Switch came in,
Yeah.
minus a cram, add the Lost City.
I guess really wanted, or maybe like I definitely like we could maybe it could have been like 3 Lost Vacuum, 1 Lost City, and then put the 4th vacuum in there over the cram. Which to be honest, maybe that does. Maybe if you really want the Lost City, maybe that makes sense because vacuum. One of the things that cram does is it clears out your hand more so that sometimes than even like getting heads is great, but like also just like getting 2
You
cards
still
out of
get
your hand.
value even if you flip tails.
Yeah, exactly. But the vacuum like always does that. You don't need an item to go with it. You can pick any card to Lost in a way, and then also it's a stadium bump as well, right? So it went with the potential for the 5 path outs with the Lost City plus the 4 vacuums, which with Tina on the rise, I guess kind of makes sense. And I guess one thing we
Um,
could mention while we're looking at Fabrizio's list, um, we could take a look at Fabrizio's run on
yeah, I'll pull it up.
PokeStats because it was kind of crazy. The the decks that Fabrizio was able to take down on the way to the finals.
Yeah, there was a
Um,
lot of people talking about this, and if you pull it up here, you'll see, Mew VMAX is very strong. It has one big flaw. It's weak to dark.
yep.
And dark is usually a pretty powerful type in the Pokemon TCG. And Mew does definitely not like going up against things that can one hit KO it. Mainly Charizard EX, also Roaring Moon. Probably not the best matchup, but I would say more beatable than the Charizard matchup for sure.
Yeah.
But if you look at Fabrizio's run, Charizard, 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 Moon, 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 Charizard. And he beat them all except one. He only lost to one.
Yeah, and even Brennan's the Brennan cameraman list, it is a Sablezard with the moon, the Sablezard moon that Brennan's been running for a while. So I don't think that deck is not like a deck that Mew's overly scared of because it's a little bit less focused around the dark attackers. But yeah, still has a dark attacker in there and was able to take that down as well. Yeah, so defeated almost all of them, um, except for that one Charizard earlier in the tournament. But that is kind of a crazy run, defeating all those moons.
Magnus has Moon and uh Magnus has everything
Yeah,
for the
Moon and
moon.
Moltres. Yeah.
He's got Moltres, Moon, and Kyogre as
No, no
well, right?
Kyogre. The Kyogre's not in there.
The
That's
Kyogre's not
a
in there.
no, the
Oh, it's the
Kyogre's not supposed to
glasses
be
build.
there.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
the glasses build. So yeah, it still had the Moltres in the moon though. Still had some dark attackers. I'm sure Magnus was not scared about going up against Mew. Was probably like, this is a comfortable matchup. This is fine. But yeah, I mean, I guess one question you could ask from this for sure is the matchup that bad for Mew up against these dark Pokemon? And
No.
no, probably not as bad as a lot of people thought. And this is like with a list that isn't like as consistent as it could be. You have the Sparkle, you have the Fusion Energy. Those are not very good in any matchup that doesn't have Spiritomb. You prefer to not have those cards, but still comes out on top through all that. I think Mew is, of course, I think this deck is the most consistent deck in the format as well. I think DT Mew just is the most consistent deck. You're playing the most games. Does it make it the most powerful deck or the best choice for every single metagame? No. But that's actually one question I have like moving forward. Like, do you still play the Sparkle and the Fusions? I don't even know if you do. There's so little Spiritomb going around right now with kind of Rapid Strike disappearing. I don't even know. I don't know if it's correct or not. I guess there's still stuff like that has like control and stuff that has Spiritomb, but
It does
yeah,
let
it's
you
always something.
cheese some wins too with the psychic leap, right? But
Maybe
that's
an
not like
energy
a great
mixture in
reason to
one.
play the cards.
Yeah, I think you'd always rather you like if you're looking for some like the cheesy psychic leap plays could just be made up for by having more tablets. So you could just like play a Silene or something.
Yeah, for later in the game, sure.
Yeah. So
And Silene
not-
would help some of your other matchups too, like Snorlax and stuff like that.
yeah. But yeah, pretty ridiculous run there from Fabrizio. Gets the dub. I think it's Fabrizio's first major dub, but has been up there
He's won
quite
a
a few
couple special
times.
events in Latin
Oh, okay,
America, but
okay.
yeah, did get I think a top 4 finish at a regionals last year.
Yeah. I mean, has been just like literally besides the little we actually like it joked around. I think we looked at this switch up there from Fabrizio and we're like, all right, back on the Mew. And because like yeah, Fabrizio was like Mew, Mew, Mew. And then even before that was on the Mew and Mew tag team as well. So been a Mew main for a while.
What do you think his favorite Pokemon is?
Genesect.
I feel like this like exact joke sequence has happened on the podcast before.
Yeah, we literally brought this up before, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Oh
Um
man. But yeah, congrats to Fabrizio on getting the win. And yeah, he had definitely had a tough go of it in Top Cut, especially in the finals. He played against Australia's best, Brent Tonneson,
Mm.
with the Lost Tina. Lost Tina was so close, Azul, to
To another
getting its
dub.
third win in a row. That would have been pretty crazy,
Yeah.
but just didn't quite work out for Brent in the end. He does come away with the second place finish, however.
Yeah, and the list is a little bit different than some of the other builds we've been seeing. So, like the things that stand out here, of course, the first things, no Manaphy, two Sableye. I believe Vinny was on the one Sableye as well, right?
Yeah, Vinny played
For
one
this,
Sableye.
yeah, for the support accounts, the two Boss, the two Roxanne, the four Colress, which has become like the standard. Almost everyone's off the Iono, but there's no Poke Gear, which feels like usually it's like you play the Ionos. If you don't play the Ionos, you play the Poke Gears to make up for it. Brent went with no Poke Gear. More Nest Ball. Four Nest Ball is usually something we don't see at all. I'm personally a big fan of the four Nest Ball whenever you can fit it. I even like tried out a list at one point with like 14 of four Nest Ball because I was like, bro, I just want to find my Pokemon. I'm tired of not finding my Pokemon. So yeah, a little bit of a difference in consistency, I guess, right? Like more Nest Ball, but less outs to your Colress, double Sableye. There's going to argue that is some added consistency through that as well, I guess. Um, but yeah, we see John's reply to Brent posting the list on Twitter. I take everything back I said. Why the hell does your deck not have Pokegear? um, and then also I guess the second counter catcher in the list from Brent as well. And goes with the what I call the Alberto switch count, which is the 4 switch cards. No escape rope, no switches either. Just the 4 switch card. Which to
Yep.
be honest, at this point, what the heck are we healing at this point? Why is it just not 4 switch? What are we healing? What 30 damage is important to heal anymore? Is there?
Motivate.
The motivate for 20. The heat tackle, the motivate.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess it could still matter in like against Lost Box, like their Sableye damage they can build up over time, I guess could matter. You'd rather have the switch cards. Um
Yeah, maybe it should just be Switch, honestly. There's definitely been plenty of cheesy situations where Tinas have opened themselves up to being locked and stuff like that. Usually the 4 jet energy is enough to, get you out of those spots, but it can make things tough.
yeah, yeah. Then also the 4 path to the peak, which is definitely something I personally like as well. Vinny played the
Yeah.
4 path, Brendan with the 4 path. Like it's
I
just
think Path is
every
like probably the
matchup.
strongest thing going for this deck, to be honest.
Yeah, like
The
every
ability to
matchup you
play
want
4
path.
Path.
There's not like one besides mirror match. I guess you don't really want path and mirror, but like every other Guardy, Zard, Miraidon, Roaring Moon, like the list goes on. The matchups that you'd want path to the peak in. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see where Tina. I think a lot of people will look at Brent's list and their reaction will be like John's reaction. It's like, oh my gosh, no Pokegear. How could you ever not play Pokegear? Your deck is just less consistent and won't even like think to try Brent's list. I think that's where a lot of people will go. But there could be something here for sure. Like, I mean, Brent made all the way to the finals, did draw a little bit poorly in the finals. Tina
Yep.
things, lack of Pokegear things, who knows? But like, um, but yeah, I think a lot of people won't actually dive too deep into Brent's list and actually give it a shot. Just like the initial reaction is going to be exactly what John's reaction was. Is just like, how could you not play Pokegear? They're so good, yada yada yada. And I'm not saying like no Pokegear or Pokegear is correct. I don't really care. I'm not playing Tina, but it's one of those things where it's like sometimes we see lists like win or do really well, or like in Brent's case, get second, and they get kind of like brushed over immediately, and no one really gives it its due diligence. I feel like this is kind of one of those scenarios, but I guess we'll see what happens for Tatina lists in Knoxville coming up. A lot of people probably won't jump ship this close to Knoxville, so maybe we'll see a difference in like Dortmund or something like that.
Yeah, sure. It's, I think, tough for the meta to shift that quickly. I mean, most people have made their minds up. Maybe we'll change a couple cards going into this weekend based on Liverpool
Yeah,
results. Let's keep on moving here. We do have Brennan Camerman. You mentioned it already. Is playing the Sablezard Lost Box deck with the Roaring Moons, the 4 Mirage Gates. Pretty similar to what he got top 4 with at LAIC to start the
yeah.
format off. But yeah, what do you think about this list?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine. I think it's like another lost pile. You know, it has a lot of options or a decent amount of options, not as much as something like the glasses build, probably, but um, yeah. Whenever I look at this list, I always like, why is I always feel like there's too many Mirage Gates. I was like, we have one Roaring Moon, and sometimes we want to attack early with Radiant Charizard, and 4 Mirage Gate. Like it feels like a little overkill. Um, but
But honestly, man, it's like if you don't respond to the Iron Hands, you are like probably going to lose the game. So
yeah,
I think that's
It's
a big
true. It
part of
is
it is
true.
like you just have to have the Mirage Gate usually to respond.
Yeah, and I guess, like, compared to, like, the Sables Art from, like, Christian Fontenot, like, there's no double turbo, there's no Raihan.
Right.
Like, there was, like, other ways for Fontenot to kinda answer the Iron Hands. And another thing that I feel like this deck lacks is an answer to Charizard. Like, no TM Devo. You got the Mawile cheese in there, though, which I'm sure is, like, one of the win conditions that, that Brennan was trying to utilize was the Mawile K or Mawile Trap, Jirachi probably. They put down the Jirachi
Or
to play on the Sableye.
what if he only played against one Charizard the whole tournament?
He did win. Yeah, but he did win it though, which I'm
Mm.
sure Mawile I wouldn't bet. Maybe Mawile got involved. Maybe Mawile got involved.
Yeah,
Um,
the Mawile is definitely an interesting tech. We've seen this pop up a little bit more in decks here and there. Um,
and a lot of people play the Switch in Charizard now,
yeah,
but a lot of people don't play Lost City. So the
yep.
strategy is you switch and then you Lost City the Mawile. But what's going to happen is you're going to switch KO the Mawile, and then Brennan's just going to get it back and then trap your Jirachi in the active or whatever you maybe can't move in the
Wow,
active
yet
again.
another card that Azul has meta manipulated out of the format. No
Dude,
Lost City and
I
Zards.
was just trying to set Brennan up, bro. I was like, guys, play the Switch
You
or play
guys
the
are
Lost
working
City.
together, huh? How much of his prize winnings is he giving you? What was the deal? What was the deal, Azul? We need to know.
Hey man, I just want to see Mawile get some dubs, bro. That's all I'm here for.
The Mawile dubs.
Yeah, some people were still playing the Lost City, of course. So not everyone has cut back. Well, a lot of people have cut back on the Lost City because like the main reason to play Lost City is the Lost Pile matchup, and it's like not necessary. It's just good against Lost Pile. Um, but consistency, I don't know, consistency kind of king or key. So like more artisans always feels a little bit better than that Lost City. So I don't think like in my last couple runs with the deck, I don't think I used like Lost City like once.
Yeah.
There's a couple situations like in games where I was like, okay, Lost City could be really good here if it comes up, or if I can get the combo off, but then I would like whiff the
Really,
combo.
its best use is like to be pretty decent in the Gardevoir matchup, but you still lose the matchup most of the time, even with Lost City. So
Yeah, like the one Lost Pile I played against in Portland, I couldn't get the Lost City out because my quick search always had to go to a different card. So like,
yeah.
yeah, but yeah, back at it. Brendan's back at it. Second top eight with the this build of Lost Pile, and then there was the
This was a really
Turbo
interesting one.
Control. Yeah, it was actually. Um, I actually think they did fumble a little bit against Brent in top four. I think they actually had game one basically locked up. Um, but then a little bit mismanaging of resources. The big play that they didn't go for, they didn't go for like a big play to go for against Tina as control is to go for. You don't want Tina to sit there with like a 12 card hand because then they're always going to have the answer to whatever you throw at them. You need to hit him with an Iono counter catcher in the middle of the game or towards the end of the game, so that way you have a turn to kind of restabilize and put your Misfortune Sisters back and stuff without them getting a prize card every single turn. We just never saw them go for that play. But they were just like one gust away from beating Brent in game one of the top four match. And then Brent in game two, it kind of went how it usually goes, where Tina just kind of drew solidly, and then Brent kind of took over. But yeah, this is a interesting take on control. Like, is it just turbo control? Like, what is this? Turbo Snorlax? Like, what would you call it?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely trying to deck out pretty quickly. It feels like lots of item cards. The 4 Cross Seaver in the deck as
I
well.
like to see
4
it.
Cramomatics. 4 Pokestop. We're just trying to get through the deck, I guess.
In the last month, Crossfever has been in. Or when was the last Champions League? Actually, I don't really remember. But Crossfever made the finals.
Yokohama, it was like Christmas weekend, right?
Yeah, so a little bit over
Or
a month.
Kyoto.
Month and a week. We've had Crossfever in the finals of a major tournament and in top four of a major tournament. I didn't think we'd ever. That's like that's something I would like look at that. And I'm like, I don't think I'd ever have predicted that. Crossfever is not a card that I thought would ever see any real play, but here it is.
Speaking of cards that you never thought would see any real play, the
Egg
one
Incubator.
egg incubator.
Gotta play the Egg Incubator.
So I'm not
I
gonna
think
lie, when I first saw this card, I thought it was a different card. I thought he was playing there's another bad item card from Pokemon Go. I thought at first glance, I thought it was this one.
Oh.
Each player reveals the top 3 cards, puts all Pokemon they find there in their hand. I was like, "Oh, he's trying to mill his opponent somehow," or I don't know. But no, it is the egg incubator. A little bit of like anti-deck out or something like that, maybe?
Well,
What's going on with the egg incubator?
you can like chain it with the um you can like chain it, I guess, with like the Pokestop. So like I guess you use it, it goes back to your like, because like, if you whiff it, then it goes back to your deck and you reuse it later. I guess it's kinda like the thought. I honestly, the
But
more
I
I
don't
think
think you
about
can
it.
play it if you have 0 cards in your deck.
No, 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 but, like, you play it, you get tails, that's fine, it goes back to your deck, you can get it again, but
Wait, no, can you play it if you have 0 cards in your deck?
I'm not saying, like, at the end of the game, I'm just saying in general as you progress through the game.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Play it, it gets but honestly, the more I think about it, this card has to suck. There's just no reason to play this card, right?
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know what Egg Incubator does, you flip a coin. If heads, search your deck for a basic Pokemon and put it onto your bench, shuffle your deck. If tails, you put this Egg Incubator on the bottom of your deck instead of in the discard pile.
Yeah, it's, like, not a terrible card because it just helps you find Pokemon. I wonder if this is one of those situations where just had a bet with a friend, like, "I bet you won't play Egg Incubator in your control deck," and he's like, "You know what? Bet," and then adds the Egg Incubator.
And sure enough,
Um,
the only person to have a Limitless page with Egg Incubator.
Maybe that was the goal the whole time.
Shout outs to Nicholas.
Yeah. I wonder if Nicholas cut a Pokemon catcher for the Egg Incubator. I was like, "Well, it still flips a coin. Let's go with."
Oh
Because
my god.
there's only 3 Pokemon catcher. There also is Pokemon catcher in here, which
Yeah.
is, like, I guess another like, it is, like yeah, it's like a super aggressive control it's like a more aggressive control build. The thing is, I, like, thought about it. I don't know if this playing being more aggressive actually changes any of your matchup spread at all. Maybe, like, a little bit, but, like, I think you're still beating Charizard, you're still losing to Tina, you're still beating what you're supposed to beat and losing what you're supposed to lose to. So I wonder, like, how much does being this much more aggressive actually matter? And
Yeah.
like from what I could like kind of theorize, I don't think it matters too much. And that's probably why we've seen people or players like Cal Connor be so consistent with control because like you just beat what you're supposed to beat, and then you like kind of lose what you're supposed to lose to. But um, it kind of feels like control is or the Snorlax stall deck is the deck of the format where it is just kind of like I hate to use the word. I'm not going to use it. It's just like where if you hit the matchup you want to hit, you get there. If you don't, you don't. But like you can't really be mad when you hit a couple Tinas in a row because Tina's so popular, right?
Honestly, control for the regionals this weekend feels like it's in a pretty precarious spot because now we have seen Moon establish itself as, a top 4 deck. And
Yeah, Tina
if
hasn't like pushed to
Tina's like
being
got a
like
very good matchup into Snorlax, it's not like I think as one-sided as everyone thinks it is, but it's definitely like
good.
70-30-ish, something like that
Yeah.
for Tina. Roaring Moon is probably like 90-10 into into Snorlax. Like Roaring Moon has a much easier time, it feels like, in that matchup.
I actually don't know if Roaring Moon because Roaring Moon can just like lose if you open Squawkabilly or you open
Okay,
Greninja
sure. But
or if it gets
they
caught. It
it
might
does
be about
depend
the
how many
same.
switch cards and stuff people do play.
Yeah, yeah, it might be. Yeah, it does. If you open a Roaring Moon and you don't have another Pokemon in your hand for a little while, you can sit there and like just Moon over and over and over again for a while. Um, but I think it could be close. I think it'd be close to actually which one is. If it's actually that much better, it's probably like about the same as
I
Tina.
feel like the Moon matchup, like I feel like Moon just has a pretty solidly easy time in that matchup, but
Moon
anything
fan.
can happen, right?
Yeah. But yeah, Moon is kind of like even though Tina hasn't become like, which is kind of like where I thought it would be. I thought Tina would maybe become the most popular deck in the format. It hasn't gotten there, but yeah, like you said, for control, it's like Tina's not the most popular deck in the format. It's like okay, whatever, but it's still number 2 or close to number 2. It's in the top 3. Now we got Moon to deal with and like other stuff. So yeah, control moving forward is probably going to be a little bit of a struggle, but we did some Charizards as well in the top 8.
Yep, there's a pair of them
Orange.
here. We've got Lawrence with the Zard. Looks pretty similar to kind of what the standardized list has become. Does have the double TM devolution here, though.
Yeah, that's got to be pretty brutal in the mirror. That's got to be because you can like literally they go Candy Pidgeot, Candy Zard, and you're like, all right, TM Devo, and then they're like, okay, what do I do now? Like if they know you have the second TM Devo, they can't go Candy Pidgeot, Candy Zard again. So like if you know what you're playing against, you got to take it really really slow. So that gives you so much freedom if you have the double TM Devo. So it's got to be like if they're not playing double TM Devo, you got to have a huge advantage in the mirror with that for sure.
Yeah, maybe what happened here is that Lawrence just took Kaito's TM Devo because they did not play one in their top 8 list.
And no TM Devo for Kato. And yet no mirror match tool in general.
No
No
justified
justified
gloves.
gloves.
Yeah.
No TM Devo.
Vitality
And
Band.
is going with a light Arvin build as well. Not quite the Haru build, which played no, but I think Kato actually played something really similar to this at LAIC. I think
No,
that's where
Kato played Snorlax at LAIC.
oh, that's right. I literally lost a Kato at LAIC and I didn't even remember. I saw a similar build. Did Kato play this at a different tournament recently? Yeah, I literally lost a Kato at LAIC. I don't remember.
This is
No.
all that's
I've
on
seen
Limitless.
a build like this very recently where it has the one of Avery, the one of Colress. But I don't remember where it was. Now I'm just kind of tripping, I feel like.
Maybe Kato played it in an online tournament.
Maybe that's where I saw it. I could have seen it there. Well, the list from Haru played the one Colress, one Avery, but maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, maybe
Colress,
so.
the Colress is standing out to me. But yeah, Kato did play some Arvins, which like Haru didn't play any Arvins at Brisbane. Yeah, a little bit of a different, but not too far off. And also, I'm also curious if Kato was choosing first because of the triple nest ball. You have a
Yeah.
lot more. That's one of the reasons you choose second with Charizard is because you don't have as much basic Pokemon search on that first turn of the game, and you really value Arvin for Battle VIP Pass. But we see 2 less Arvins here from Kato, and then 3 nest balls. So a lot of basic Pokemon search.
There's also no
In the deck.
Luminion in this list, which often becomes your way to get Battle VIP Pass turn 1.
Yeah, it can be. So I feel like Kato is definitely choosing to go first with this build for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Go first, get Mew for VIP or another nest, hopefully.
Or just open
go from
VIP
there.
nest and then just roadie and then
Yeah, and then you're
run it up.
vibing.
Yeah, definitely.
No level ball, does have the 100 HP Melian.
One thing about like playing lists, a list like this, like now, do I think it's better than the other builds? I don't know, but your opponent's gonna be playing around a lot of things you don't play. They're gonna be playing around the TM Devo
Yep.
or thinking maybe you have Justified if you're not playing down a TM Devo route. They're not gonna assume you have escape rope. You got that escape rope in there. So playing a build like this, like if you play up against, mirror match or other decks, they're gonna be playing around a lot of cards that you just don't have, which
And
does become like kind of like an advantage to playing just something different for the sake of playing something different. Now, if it's not good enough to play a different deck, then you probably shouldn't do that. You don't want to fall down the mindset of always playing something different for the sake of playing something different. But if Kato thinks this is the best way to play the deck, just where the meta is, that just like neutrally gives them another advantage.
And also another thing too is like if Kato wants to go first with this list, most people are going to see Charizard and just choose to go second. So Kato is pretty often getting the turn 0 result that they want, right? Being able to be the one who's going first.
Yeah, exactly. And then when it's built this way with the heavier nest ball count, like you're able to take advantage of your opponent picking the wrong choice, but your opponent, of course, doesn't know that they should be choosing first against you based on your build.
Well, let's look at the rest of the day 2 decks. I mean, just kind of general thoughts in day 2. Oh, also, I guess we can look at Gavin. We should mention. Oh yeah,
Magnus
I
and
just
Gavin.
skipped.
Yeah.
I skipped 2 top 8 decks because we were just looking at Kato's list. But yeah, we do have
Yeah.
Magnus Peterson
With the
making top 8
glasses.
with the super effective glasses Lost Box, just kind of an aggressive Lost Box deck that's trying to take 2 prizes every single turn.
Yeah, Christian got top 8 with this. Christian Hudas
Yeah.
got top 8 in Stuttgart with the glasses. And yeah, now Magnus rolling up with the glasses. Pretty similar list. I don't even know how much different there is, to be honest. I'm going to actually pull up the Bravery Charm is new. I know that the Bravery Charm is definitely new. But then besides that, pretty close. No gift energy this time around. No Zinnia's Resolve. Unlucky, but you'll love to see it because that card is terrible. I hate Zinnia's Resolve so much.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, glasses back. Is this the best way to play Lost Box? I don't know. There's a lot of ways to play Lost Box, and a lot of them are doing well. Like we had Fontanot winning with kind of classic Sablezard. Brennan's up here with the Moon Sablezard. Magnus, another glasses top 8. Not tell you, to be honest.
Then we've got Gavin Irving here, top 8 with the Lost Tina. Looks pretty similar to the Bradner, right?
Yeah.
Has the Avery, the 3-path, the 2 Pokegear.
Mm-hmm.
2 switch part.
And 1 escape rope. Got the escape rope in there. Yeah. This is like kind of what I feel like the majority of people are playing, a little bit more like this. Brent definitely came out with something I mean, I don't want to say spicy, just a little bit different, a little bit teen.
I
Like it's
mean,
not like
it's not that different, man. Come on now,
yeah,
let's be
it's a little
real.
bit different. Kale, something a little bit different. Is it
Oh,
the
it's
next
so different,
innovation?
man. He's got a fourth path to the peak and
I mean, hey, we both like
a
Fourth Path
second
too.
Sableye.
Yeah, I don't know if I like Second
It's
Sableye, but Fourth Path is pretty
so
cool.
different.
Path's pretty broken. That's
It's
a good
so
card.
different.
Hey, the Pokegears, you that frees up some space. You know, fourth nest ball that finds basic Pokemon.
Yeah, Brent was like, I play these Pokegears and I never get a supporter anyway, so I'm just gonna take him out of my deck, you know? Let's make him things that do stuff, you know?
Yeah, I mean, hey, nest ball could find Greninja, which draws 2 cards guaranteed. That could be a Colress.
Hey, there you go.
There we go. You can't nest
Why
ball
look at the
for
top 7 for Chorus when you could just look at the top 2 for
yeah, but
Chorus?
Greninja could also get you. What if you need an energy instead of a Colress, and then
That's
it's
true.
like a
Or
jet?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Or
okay.
a VIP pass.
Yeah.
It could be anything.
Greninja, Greninja does it all. Pokegear maybe gets you a Colress. Think about it. Do the math.
I think one of the other big things here, though, looking at this like top 32 decks, there's a lot of Roaring Moon. And there's also a decent amount of Arceus, more
And
than you would
Guardy too.
expect. And 2 of them are Arceus Rayquaza VMAX.
Of course. What else would it be?
Yeah, silly me. Why would I think it would be anything else?
I mean, Regigigas would have been, I guess, a thought at this point, to be honest, after Makani has been kind of bringing light to the Arceus. But no, it's Arceus Rayquaza that is the high. Is it the highest placing Arceus deck in the tournament? It is, right? 27th
There is, yep, yeah, 28th is
is
the
the Arceus Regigigas. Hey,
Arceus.
it's still getting its. Hey, the fire energy. There's 6 fires. Where's the Radiant Charizard? We talked about this. Joe actually added me on Twitter and said, "No, Azul, I would not like the Radsar." But if you're gonna put 6 fire in there, I mean, come on.
No, Azul. Silly Azul.
Once we have 6 fire in there, like the consistency is there. Get the Radzard in there, swinging 250, clean them up.
But yeah, Rayquaza VMAX. This was on stream, right?
Yes, there was definitely an entertaining series for sure. They went to sudden death, bro. We are robbed of so many
Sudden
great.
death.
Yeah, we went or whatever it's called, tiebreaker game.
Yeah.
We were robbed of so many hype moments, but then we got one finally with the Rayquaza versus Roaring Moon going to the tiebreaker game on the back of a missed lethal. But there was a moment where in a Roaring Moon mirror, it almost went to the tiebreaker game, but the last card in deck was the Dark Patch. It was so deflating, man. And then we did get this though. This did kind of make up for it a little bit. I don't know what to think about this deck though, to be honest. It's Arceus Rayquaza VMAX. Plays Heatran.
Heatran can do a lot of damage.
That's true. Yeah, overall, I got no clue what to think about this. I'd have to like play some games with it.
It's
But,
got some tricks too. The Delphox V is
Yeah.
pretty cool, right?
Armor
The
Rouge to
Armor
move stuff
Rouge,
around.
right? To be able to move your energies around.
Yeah, I thought about it though on stream earlier. Someone like asked me how good I think the deck is. I was like, I don't know. Let's see. What do you lose to? You're probably unfavored against Lost Tina, Gardevoir, Miraidon, Roaring Moon, Charizard. I was like, I don't know what you beat, to be honest. I don't know if you beat anything. I'm kind of lost on this one. But maybe if it's close enough in those matchups, even if they're unfavorable.
Is your Charizard matchup that bad?
I don't know. I guess they're not really KOing anything in the early game.
Yeah.
And you can KO them with Rayquaza, right? Like maybe
Let's see
the
what these
Charizard
guys
is good.
beat.
Let's see.
Let's,
What were they beating?
26.
What were they beating?
A little bit of
Mews?
everything. Losing a bit of everything too.
They had the Drapion for the Mew, yeah.
Lost to
Makes
some
sense.
Mews, beat most of the Mews.
Ooh, you got the Armors for the control matchup. That's kind of cool.
Armor Rouge is pretty cool for the control matchup. Beating some Miraidons, it looks like, this other player.
Beating up on the Tinas. Maybe the Tina matchup is good. Too. Yeah, see, I'd have to play it to know for sure. It's like theoretically in my head, it kind of like it would also make sense for it to not be like Arceus decks just don't feel that good in the meta in general. And there's a reason like people have kind of pushed them to the wayside is because like when you actually pick it up and you try really hard with it, it's like it's still tough to get there against a lot of the top decks. We've seen it be getting there. They're like Makani, top 8 into a 9th place at Charlotte. Let me see here. Arceus Rayquaza, not quite as good as the Makani showing with the Gigas, but still like 2 in top 32.
It does feel like though Arceus right now is like the deck that you have to work like extra hard to get the like okay results. I don't know.
Yeah, you have to work really hard to have a bunch of unfavorable matchups. Whereas like with Tina, you have to work really hard. Like I've been saying this about Tina. It's like if you're gonna commit the time and effort to put into Tina, it's like okay, that's fine. but you have to play really well on the day. You have to work really hard, and you're 50-50 against everything. And every other deck has to go generator attack or Candy Charizard attack, and you're just over there like, all right, Comfy, tough one. Okay, I'll take this one. A Colress, another Comfy, and they have to like make all these right decisions, and your
Yeah.
opponent's just over there like waiting to play another generator. So, um, yeah, and yeah, Arceus like you don't have to work as hard as you do with Tina. But to get creative with all like the little stuff you have to play, like you look at Makani's list, and there's like so many like little cards that you can utilize in different situations, which is like really cool. But it's like you're working really hard, and yeah, and then even then the matchups are still really really close. So yeah, it's definitely tough for those decks out right now. But it's cool to see them still like popping up, and that's always like really, I guess, just cool, like player skill. You know, it kind of like speaks to like player skill kind of being like the maybe the number one factor, just playing well on the day with your deck. Is like the bigger difference, which is
Yeah.
nice. That's always
Yeah,
nice.
for sure.
There was a decent amount of Guardians in top 32 as well. I didn't really notice that until you kind of scrolled through here. And Roaring Moons. And actually, if you just take a look at the ninth place Roaring Moon list real fast. It is just Ross's list, but look how many people played Ross's list.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they came through.
That's crazy. Yeah. This has kind of been a trend, in the game the last couple years, which is a cool thing to see, right? Like someone does really well with a deck. People realize, oh, this is just kind of the best way to play this deck right now. And there is nothing wrong with doing this. If you
Yeah.
like a list, you think it's good, practice with it, you like it. There's no shame in just playing the same 60.
Yeah, a lot of the time I think it's like players who are kind of a little bit lost and like don't really have a home or a deck to call home or to call their deck that they're playing in the current meta. And they're like, oh, Ross's list is cool. I'll go play that. Or they're players who are like, we're playing Roaring Moon, and they're like, yeah, I think Ross's list is probably better than mine. I'm gonna go play Ross's list. Which is, yeah, there's no shame in doing that at all for sure. And we see the results kind of speak for themselves. You know, quite a few people just picked up the Ross 60, two top
Yep.
16s, 32, and some others in day two as well. So yeah, no shame in it for sure. You want to be the innovator though. You want to be Ross, ideally, playing it for the first time. Because that's where you're gonna get the biggest advantage, right? Is when you're playing a list that people don't know what they're up against. But now people can be like, this looks kind of like Ross's list, and I looked at that previously. I think I know what you're playing here.
We do have several Gardevoir, like you mentioned, Tord and Rune both making top 16 with it.
Did
And
Rune
I
play the
didn't notice
Cresselia?
anything super crazy in any of these
No
lists.
Crest. Did Rune have the Cresselia or no? That's like
Rune
the one
did,
thing people haven't been playing Cresselia. There is a Cresselia in Rune's list though.
yeah, it did have the crest.
Research builds too. After Gustavo, we saw Gustavo get top 4 with the double research. Rune with the double research. Tord with the double research. Just trying to see cards.
James Cox also played the Cresselia. He had
Mm-hmm.
the double Avery no research build.
Worker in there as well.
Yep, yep. And then Edwin did have the crest as well. So crest making its way back into a lot of the decks, it looks like. Double research.
Yeah,
It
I
definitely
mean,
seems like more crest than not.
yeah, you can like check the statistics.
81% of Gardevoirs.
Yeah, 80% still with the crest. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like such a good card, especially he feels like such a good card in the Tina matchup. So it's like hard to like not want to play crest. But if you just like play the research, like maybe you're just getting more aggressive and just punching stuff harder as well. I guess I could see that being the trade off.
And the only other, I think, notable deck that we haven't really talked about yet from day two is the Miraidons. Miraidon didn't have as strong of a day, it feels like, at this one.
Not very peony Miraidon. Not very many peony Miraidon. If you went back there to the card
Yeah.
sets, it was like 0.67 peonies in Miraidon decks.
Yeah.
So peony Miraidon usually plays 4. So that means, yeah, there just wasn't that many of the peony built here. Oh, wait.
Well,
Am I
it's probably some
misreading
people
that?
playing like the split and stuff, you know.
Oh, I guess. There's 3. Yeah, people are getting more creative with the splits now.
2
2,
peony
2.
split.
Okay. Maybe everyone
3.
had peony. No, not everyone. There had to be some without the peony then for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a 4.
Let's look at some of the Iono lists because they are, I think, more likely to not have.
Well, that's going to be tough to look at because you clicked on Iona.
That's a good point. When you click on Peony here, there's really only one deck that plays Peony, but
You click on Iona.
it turns out a lot of
turns out.
decks play Iono.
Yeah, would you look at that? All those decks that are playing Iona.
Here we go. We found one.
There you go. No path. I think that's the point of not playing Peony is you playing path. You can like judge
Shout out
path,
to
eye on a path.
Glenn Ballwins here, 19th place at Stuttgart, and was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it again, and then got top 64 with the exact same 60 cards.
Exact same 60. Been
And
running
it
for a
was
while.
Sin's list from Gdansk.
Yeah. Maybe yeah, maybe just hasn't picked up the card since then. Definitely a little bit of an outdated list for sure. I feel like the Maridon innovation has come a little way since then.
Yes, the Maridon technology has gotten out of
Yeah,
hand.
it's evolved.
And then I think there was a couple other like kind of interesting decks in day two, like off meta decks. There was a
I've been waiting to do this.
Regigigas player who got 119th place. I was like, dang. I was looking at this earlier. It was like, this deck is on Limitless. It tells you how much each of the decks cost to make. Regigigas only $16. You pay $16. You can play a deck that is good enough to make day two at a regional championships. But then if you scroll down a little further, you click on the Cherim Regidrago deck and you see that it only costs $11.
Hey, there we go. But all right. Listen, Joe, if you're out there and you're listening to the podcast, why is there a wishy-washy in your deck? What is this doing in
Yeah,
here?
I
I
don't
need to
really know
know.
what happened here. One wishy-washy. I feel like I saw Joe's Twitter. Let me see if I can find it.
What is the Zarude or Wo-Chien even? Oh, I don't even know what the Zarude or the Wo-Chien do
So
either.
the Zarude Azul, if you played some more GLC, you would be very
Oh,
familiar with
okay.
Zarude. Very strong first attack. If you're going second and it's your first turn, you get to search your deck for 3 grass Pokemon and put them into your hand. Decent little setup. And then repeated whip, 60 damage plus 20 more damage for each grass energy attached to it. So
Okay,
you just
okay.
can hit pretty hard. And then the Wo-Chien, Binding Greed, 140 during your opponent's next turn. Attacks used by the defending Pokemon cost 2 colorless more.
Probably pretty good against Charizard, right?
Yeah, that's got to be
You
pretty
know,
annoying. But how do you not just smash Charizard?
well, you're just two hitting each other back and forth.
No, dude, Zarude one shots it.
Oh yeah. Wait, yeah, it's weak to grass.
Yeah.
Wait, well, Wo-Chien seems like it's a bad. Why wouldn't you
Yeah,
just
why
play
don't you
different?
just play another Zarude, right?
Well, maybe he does
Maybe
something
that's what
in a
the
different
wishy-washy is
matchup.
for. I
For anyone who
definitely
doesn't
saw
know,
this guy
for anyone
tweet.
who's listening, the wishy-washy is the what is the wishy-washy? What is this one?
It's from Evolving Skies.
Yeah.
This card is like literally useless in this deck. It has
Okay.
30 HP. It's a rapid strike Pokemon, and it has the ability Group Power. If this Pokemon has 3 or more water energy attached to it, it gets plus 150 HP. It gets plus 150 HP. Now you might read that and be like, "Oh, that would be pretty good if you like just got a bunch of water energy on it." It's a one prizer that has a bunch of HP. Oh, the problem is this deck plays 0 water energy,
Yeah, and
and
then
then
the
its
attack
attack
is.
does 30 damage, and then 30 more damage for each.
Oh,
Oh,
wait
it
a
is
second.
basic energy.
Oh, we figured it out. We read the card, Chip. Let's go, Joe. I don't need to know why you play the card anymore. Wait, what's weak to water though? Because it's definitely like for something that's weak to water.
What is weak to water? Not
Radi-
Charizard.
oh, Radiant Charizard? Is it KO Radiant Charizard?
Takeo Radiant Charizard? I mean, it can just do a lot of damage, right?
I don't. Can it? Is it hitting that hard though? Are we trying to like one hit KO something with it?
And is there not another Pokemon that does like the same thing? Like, wait, when is this ever better than just a Zarude? Oh, wait, it is slightly better than Zarude, right?
Well, after what the fourth energy.
Yeah.
All right, we figured it out though. We figured out why, dude. I looked at this earlier. I feel like I was like, bro, why is like my mind is being. Well, yeah, I guess it just hits. I didn't read the attack. See, I read the ability and I was like, this makes no sense.
I mean, if
But if
you
you read
have
the attack,
all 9 of your grass energy and then you attach a basic fire for turn, that's 10 energy. That's 330 damage.
oh, it's a Mew counter. That makes sense. That's how we beat.
You can one hit KO anything.
I feel like our way to beat Mew is the counter catchers in this arena. We just KO 3 Genesects.
Yeah, that's a card we haven't seen in quite some time. How about that? The
Serena.
Serena.
Yeah, it's an interesting one there.
People were playing it in Valiant or in Entei.
Hmm. That doesn't seem very good. What do you like? Because it is like a pseudo draw support or gust, but what can you even gust with it anymore?
Not much.
Yeah,
Rotom.
a B barrel in here.
Yeah, this is Tyler Matthews' list from Charlotte.
He always plays some funky. He always does pretty well with some funky lists though. Like
Yeah,
the
he
lists are
does like
funky.
to throw some techs in there.
There's just some stuff in his list sometimes, but he does do pretty well, pretty consistently. So
Yeah.
there's that.
Well, we figured out what the wishy-washy was for. We figured out the results here from Liverpool. Let's now talk about how they may impact the upcoming regionals this weekend. Oh, no, we do have to recap our predictions first. We can't forget that.
Yeah, forget that.
Because you did have some pretty crazy predictions here. Zol, did someone leak the script to you? Like, what happened here? But there was just a smudge over Alberto Conti's name, and it was really
Yeah,
meant to be Brent.
Tennyson the whole time. Although that
So
would have
our
been a better
predictions were:
prediction.
will Mew win? I said no. Azul said yes, and Azul was right. But not only did Azul say Mew would win, our next prediction was over under Giratina V-Star, over under 2.5 Giratina V-Star in top 8. Azul took the over. I took the under. I
There was
was
two,
correct on
right?
the under, but
Yeah.
Azul predicted that Mew would beat a Giratina in the finals, which is literally what happened.
And I predicted the Giratina would not have a tech card for
No
Mew.
Spiritomb, no Drapion.
Yeah, no Spiritomb, no Drapion. Bro, what do you think the Tina players like? I guess we'll talk about that a little bit later, but maybe they got to start doing it. I don't know.
Got to start respecting the Mew.
And then our last prediction was what deck will Tord play? I said Rapid Strike. Chip said Lost Pile. Tord said
Gardevoir.
Gardevoir.
Back to his roots.
Back to the roots. Yeah, back to the Gardevoir roots. I did pull out a top 16 as well. Was out of top 8 contention pretty early on in day 2, but still brought it back to a top 16. Yeah, those are our predictions. But moving forward, we do have Knoxville and Melbourne regionals this weekend. I almost forgot about Melbourne. I think someone literally mentioned it in my chat earlier, and I just it went over my head that it was like this weekend. Because I remembered that I thought Melbourne was the week of Orlando, but apparently that's Perth. Perth is the weekend of Orlando. Perth. Yeah. But there's also they have another regional coming up. That kind of sucks for them that their regionals are so soon. Well, I guess Perth is in the new meta, right?
Is it after UIC?
Yeah, Orlando's after
Oh yeah, because Orlando's after UIC. Yeah.
Yeah, so they will have like a regional in the new format.
Yeah, that's definitely good. That was something they didn't get last year, right?
Yeah, everything was in
the Lugia
Silver
meta.
Tempest.
Yeah.
Jeez, man, that's. Oof. But yeah, I guess the first thing to talk about, Zard's been the number 1 deck, and to be honest, I don't think it's going anywhere. Do you think it's going anywhere?
I think that if there was a tournament for Tina to overtake Zard, it probably is this one, right? I don't think it was ever going to be Liverpool.
I thought it was going to be Charlotte.
Yeah, but I think things just don't move as fast as you think they do.
Yeah, I got to add a week or two to
or as fast as you think they should, right? So I think people see the results from Charlotte, and they saw Tina win in pretty dominating fashion in the finals. People like Tina. It's been pretty popular. I think there is a chance that Tina becomes number 1, but I think Zard is still right there. And I probably would still give the edge to Zard just staying at number 1. But I think it's going to be like one of them is 17, one of them is 15, one of them is 17, one of them 16. Like it's right there.
Yeah, I wonder how much people value wins, right? Because Zard has still been fine, right? It hasn't had like a dominant tournament, but one of the factors with that as well is Zard, there's always going to be some really good players who play decks, right? You got Ross with the Roaring Moon. I mean, me and CGC played Maridon at Charlotte, but even then, you got like Nick Moffat who played it at Portland, and Charlotte as well. So everyone has some really, really good players playing some decks. Zard doesn't there's very few really, really good players who choose to pick up Zard. It definitely is Tina is the deck that the really, really good players gravitate towards. Tina and Guardy, I think, for sure. So that's always going to impact the end results. There's going to be really, really good players playing Zard, playing Moon, playing Maridon, but there's just less, right? So it's not really a surprise to me when we look at some of these top 8s and we're seeing way more Tinas in top 8, especially when you can tie some names to them as well, right? But Zard has still been getting its top 8, right? I got top 8 in Portland. Rogerson got top 8 or second at Charlotte, and even at Liverpool, we had 2 top 8s in there as well from Lawrence and Cato. So I guess one thing that does kind of drive decks popularity and stuff is results, but I think Charizard not winning again isn't gonna hurt its percentages because it's still competing consistently. So, but if it did start to fall off drastically and there was no top 8s, maybe even just struggling to get some top 16s, then I could see that impacting it. But because it's been able to keep up consistently, I think that like it almost like it inspires the Charizard players to keep going. It's like yes, it's still doing it. If they can do it, I can do it. And yeah, it is still a really good deck as well. Like I said, I think it might be the best deck in the format overall. So yeah, I think Charizard will maintain its number one spot for now because there's no reason for people's faith to have wavered yet.
Do you think that Mew winning this past weekend is gonna have an impact on what people do in both Melbourne and Knoxville? Like,
I don't do people
are the
just don't.
Tinas gonna
Nope.
start to put in those
Nope.
Spiritombs and
They're
the
too stubborn.
Drapion's?
They don't do it, bro. They don't. Bradner did at Charlotte, but Bradner was like the only one.
Yeah.
I think John had it as well. Then I think Bradner and John might have been on the same 60. But yeah,
Finally?
they just don't. Yeah, people just don't. I was like, this is the moment. What I say was it Portland or something? I was like, yep, everyone's gonna be bringing. Like people have to be done. No, it was after Portland, like going into. I don't remember which one it was anymore. Well, maybe it was going into Portland. Yeah, it was going into Portland. I was like, dude, people have to be sick of losing to Mew. We're gonna see the Drapions, we're gonna see the Spiritombs, and then Portland was like Mew's best tournament in
Yeah.
this format. And then after Portland was Charlotte, still didn't see very much Spiritomb or Drapion. Liverpool. I mean, there's some. It's out there. A lot of decks do naturally kind of pair up well into Mew, right? Charizard's fine, Roaring Moon's fine. They're never going to bring a
Right.
Drapion or a
Right.
Spiritomb. But the decks that don't pair up as well, the Miraidons, the Tinas, they're not always bringing the Drapion or the Spiritomb. But I feel like you just should. Like, I feel like if you're going to play one of those decks, like, too many good players will be playing Mew, and Mew just has such good potential to go very far. If it doesn't run into those Spiritombs or whatever. But I think the answer will be no. I don't think people are going to be playing Spiritomb. I don't think it's going to change. We'll let
Yeah.
Mew have its way again.
Mew just dominates once again. Now, with the question there, I guess in response to that, like, do the DTE Mews just like cut the fusion energies?
It's close. That's a tough call. It's like
Just say
really.
YOLO, we ball or whatever.
I think if I was playing Double Turbo Mew, I guess the one deck that I guess has been consistently playing the answer has been Miraidon. But that
I've
actually
been
makes me
playing
want to go
Spiritomb,
check
yeah.
at the first Miraidon I clicked on Liverpool did not have Spiritomb or see the
But
second
most
one.
Miraidons have been playing one of the two.
And this one didn't either, bro. No one's playing it, bro. Everyone just wants to lose to me.
How are you
bro.
going to a tournament in Europe and not playing one of the two,
Dude? I mean, maybe they just like it.
Maybe
They
that's why
enjoy.
Fabrizio went to
Yeah.
Europe to play in the tournament.
Yeah, Fabrizio was like, "Well, I'm gonna play Mew anyways. I may as well go to a European event, get the dub, and just dip on them." Yeah, I would. Like if I was playing a Miraidon or a Tina, those there's not that many decks that I actually want to play a Miraidon or a Spiritomb or like a Drapion or a Spiritomb, excuse me. Because like I said, like the Moons, the Charizards, you just play the matchup. Yeah, if I was playing like a Miraidon or a Tina, I think I would definitely be. I mean, I guess Tina kind of has to bring Spiritomb. Miraidon like depends, I guess, on the build you're playing. But I guess Spiritomb might lean towards a little bit more than the Drapion. But Drapion's chill too.
It feels like Roaring Moon has been kind of the new hotness the last couple of weeks, kind of solidified itself as a solid top 4 deck, 9% meta share, 2 events in a row. Do you think that continues? And are we going to is that something we should expect to see for the rest of the meta? Because we got this meta for 2 more months now at this point.
Yeah, I think we will. I think a lot of people like the deck. I think the deck is a little bit better than like I thought it was overall. I don't think it's that great of a play though if your goal is to win. Going through Charizards and Guardies and all that kind of stuff is just like you're not gonna have a great time.
There's so many decks in
Venus
the
is good,
meta
but
right now, like, you can't avoid everything, right?
yeah, but you could avoid a bad matchup into 17% of the meta when like we all know Charizard's going to be 17% of the meta. So I would say I think it will be about 10%, but I wouldn't recommend everyone play Roaring Moon. I don't think like if you're trying to make a last minute decision, I don't. Like, if your goal is to do as
You
best as you
can be
can,
okay against Charizards if they're
it's
not
tough.
playing Radzard in the meta, but if they're playing Radzard in the meta, which most people are right
Yeah.
now, then I think the Rads you said it a couple weeks ago that the Radzard just, like, shores up
Hard.
the
Yeah,
Zard and the Miraidon matchup
'cause you
for
can play your bench
Charizard.
like really weird and really small, and like not put two Charizards in play, or not even put Pidgeot in play, and you go like Charizard, Radzard, Rotom, and then they have to KO the Radzard at some point, and then once they go to the odd prize cards, you just win.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're a Zard player, when you do your VIP passes off the rip, put the Radzard down. As long as you have your switch card in the deck, it usually is the correct play to just put the Radzard in play because they can't really afford to just like gust it and try and trap it. You'll eventually attach 5 energy and then you just win anyway. So, yeah. Especially if you're not playing the nest ball, then like finding the Radzar can get awkward later. So you can just VIP pass for it turn 1. Just have it ready to go.
And then we've seen so many different Lost Box decks, right? We talked about it a little bit already. The Sablezards, the Sableye, Charizard, Roaring Moon deck. We've seen the super effective Glasses builds. There's been some Kyogre stuff still floating around. Where is Lost Box at, man? Like, if there was a Lost Box deck that you wanted to play this weekend, what route do you think you would want to go?
Honestly, the Glasses build is just really cool. So I think I would lean towards that. I know I've said Ogre in the past. I think
Yeah.
Ogre probably is the best overall build still. Although I don't know if that is true though, because I feel like the Glasses build has like a good Tina matchup, whereas like the Kyogre build is a little bit more iffy because sometimes they don't have a board state set up where you can actually use Ogre to close out the game. Um, yeah, yeah, I like the Glasses. I like the Glasses build for sure. I think I would go with that one. I don't know if they're all good. Like all the Lost Box, all the Lost Piles. I don't really have a super strong opinion on any of them. They're just all fine. They're all fine. You can't really go wrong with one over the other. So pick your favorite, the one you're really rocking with right now. And I think just get good at it and make that your goal. But they're all fine.
Well, let's make some predictions for the tournaments this weekend. And we are doing these with both events this weekend in mind. So there is the Knoxville Regional Championships and then also the Melbourne Regional Championships. Will Giratina this weekend make another finals appearance? That'll be 4 and 5 tournaments in a row, potentially, if it was able to do it at both. Will it make a finals appearance as well? Yes or no?
I think I have to go with I'm gonna go with yes, just based on the percentage of players, like tier one players who choose to play Tina. It's so high, it's hard to not say yes. So I'm gonna go with a yes on a Tina finals appearance.
While I do think there is a good shot, I'm just gonna say no because it's just been too much success recently. The Tina players need to come back down to earth,
Yeah,
realistically.
I got some
And
big heads right now for sure.
now this is the weekend that it's gonna happen for sure. Arceus decks have started to be more popular. We talked about the Arceus Rayquaza deck. Obviously, we've seen Makani, the Stratford brothers, Joe Turrentine playing the Regigigas V-Star over here in America. What do you think the highest placing Arceus deck will be, Azul, this weekend? Whatever version of Arceus that may be.
um, I mean, it'll probably be Arceus or Gigas, and but I mean, 32 probably. It'll probably be top 30. It'll probably be Makani as well. Top 32 for Makani with the Arceus or Gigas. I'll go like this is my expanded prediction here. It's gonna be Makani with Arceus or Gigas. Give him a top 32. He'll get top 32.
Top 32. I'm going to go with the top 16 this
Mm.
weekend. A
More
little
faith in
bit
Makani
better
than
than the
me.
top 32 finish. But hopefully for Makani's sake, it's not him bubbling out once again because getting to 36 match points and then not getting to play top 8,
Yeah,
that's
that's
brutal,
tough.
man. That is tough.
Like actually, like speaking on that for a second, like when do you think they'll tell us what the next what would you even call it?
Like
Uh,
breakpoint.
Kicker is? Like when's the next kicker to like an extra round or a top 16 or do you think they'll eventually just give us top
They're
16
probably trying
or
to figure that out, man.
they don't know. Yeah, maybe instead of a kicker, they'll just give us top 16 or give us
I think
asymmetrical cut or
that's the
something.
easiest solution is
Top
just
16?
do top 16.
That's
And
what
I
I
like
want to
top
see
16
happen.
a little bit better than asymmetrical cut, I think.
I think I would like it more as well. Yeah, I think a top
Let
16
more
would be
people get
nice.
in there because asymmetrical cut still just becomes 36 match
I'm
points.
gonna already like call out the people who are gonna complain that like, oh, back when I was first like last season, if I was first seed, I was guaranteed top 8, but now I have to play for top 16. Like, chill out. Nobody cares. Top 16 is definitely would be an improvement to the system. Yeah, but I can already like hear them complaining about it. Yep, there they are. I can hear them. Yep. We know. No one cares. Yeah, top 16 would definitely be an improvement. We need something eventually. It would be nice to know when it is, or if it's just gonna be like an over. Like maybe if
Yeah,
we
I
have like
mean,
an
I would be
over.
surprised if anything changes this season.
Yeah,
I
probably
don't think
not.
that it's like as it's not like a drastic need. It's something that should change, but it's not like impeding the success of the game, I don't think. Whereas like last
We are
year,
getting there, but like going into next season, if the events plan to be bigger next season, we're gonna feel it more for sure. If we're
well, so
looking at
like
3,000 players or getting close to like 3,000 players at these regionals, if we can do that, like that's the
So like
2,500.
VGC, whenever they came back with Scarlet and Violet at the start of last year, start of 2023, they had their old system in place where it
Yep.
was they played day 1 and then day 2 was just the top 32 and it was just single elimination top 32 from there on out.
Yep.
Um and that system was pretty out of date. That was what they did when there was like 200 people at VG regionals and then there was 600 people at that tournament or 800 people, something like that, 600 or something. Um and you had like 30 people bubbling out of
Yeah.
out of top 32, like something ridiculous like that. And so they implemented a day 2 Swiss system very similar to what TCG has. They made that emergency adjustment because that's like something they
That's
had to
ridiculous.
do
Yeah.
to like make sure the game would still be like going to tournaments would still be an enjoyable experience for the majority of the player base. I don't
Yeah.
think changing top cut this season is like something that's going to have a major impact on the majority of players enjoying
Oh,
going to
yeah.
Pokemon tournaments, right? So I
Yeah,
don't
of
that's why
course.
I don't think it's like a massive priority, and I don't think it necessarily should be, but it is something that I think
We don't want
moving
it to
into
get
next
to
season, they should address. There should be a kicker in place, 2,000
some point.
players, something like that, where triggers an extra round, triggers top 16. And honestly, I wouldn't hate it if it was just
We always had top 16, no kicker. I think that would be
I think
fine.
if it was top 16 with the anytime you get to the 6th Swiss round, I think I would like that, right?
Okay, so yeah, 6 Swiss round with
Because
top 16,
I
yeah.
think that number is 800, something like
Yeah.
that. If you have 800 masters, you get 6 Swiss rounds day 2. If you have 799, you get 5 Swiss rounds day 2. 5 Swiss rounds day 2 into top 8, 6 Swiss rounds into top 16. I think that would be a fine solution. Or if it was like 800 to like 1599 or something like that
Yeah, and then
is
after that,
and then if it's 1600 or more, you give us top 16. I think that's a
yeah.
good solution.
We just don't wanna get it just shouldn't hopefully it doesn't get to the point where it's as bad as the VGC thing was. I guess it would never get as bad as the
Because
VGC
it
thing
affects
was,
so
but
many
yeah, it affects so many more players, but
yeah,
at some point, it does just kinda be just like I don't know, you look at the results from the tournament, it's like, well, I don't know, all these players
kills the
had
vibe.
37 points and they didn't make cut, like, that feels like yeah, because at some point when you're playing in the tournament, it's like, well, if you didn't go, 15-1 or 14-1, you literally can't make cut. Like with the amount of variants that are in like Pokemon, you have to have a little bit of like leadway to like allow for poor variants. You don't have to give it too much, like, but that should be a little bit for sure.
All right, last prediction here. Between the two tournaments this weekend, over under the number of Forest Sealstone played in decks. So we're talking about the number of 8 different decks for 2 tournaments. So a total of
Yeah.
16 decks. How many of them will play? Not how many of them, how many copies of Forest Sealstone will be in those 16? So Charizard usually has 1, something like Mew usually has 3, Miraidon 1 to 2, something like that.
Yeah.
What do you think? Because we're putting the over under at 8.5, which I think is a
Yeah.
pretty decent line. A big part of that line depends on if you think a Mew is going to make top cut or not.
Well, I already predict people to not tech from you. So people aren't teching from you. Mew's probably going to do pretty well. So I got to go with the over on this one. I'm going to go over
Yeah,
8.54 Steel Stones.
I'm going to go with the over as well on this one. And I'm almost wondering if we should have made the over under a little higher. But
Yeah. I mean,
uh,
listen, maybe the techs will come
the
out.
first
Maybe
number
people
I
will
threw out
tech
there
from.
was 10.5. And you were like, that's way too high. So,
Well, I thought you were talking about for one tournament. I was like, that
well,
was
yeah, that would be a little
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. Yeah, for 2 tournaments, no one teching from you. I mean, the math adds up. That's an over.
I'm going with the over as well on that one. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move into guess that flavor text. But before we do have to, of course, take a moment to thank our amazing sponsor, Dragon Shield, for supporting us here at the Uncommon Energy podcast. Dragon Shield, of course, makes some of the best card gaming and tabletop gaming products and accessories on the market, including sleeves, binders, deck boxes, and so much more. Azul and I always use their sleeves, whatever tournament, whatever type of Pokemon we are playing, we're using the Dragon Shield sleeves. You got something picked out for Knoxville this weekend, buddy?
Yeah, running it back with the
That's
tangerines.
been your go-to, huh?
Yeah, I have a lot of tangerines. So tangerines again for this one
Did
coming
you
up
just
for
order like a
Knoxville.
case of the same sleeve?
Yeah. But I do have the Auroras are the next ones are coming up after I get through the tangerines. So tangerines first, Auroras next. But yeah, huge shout out to Dragon Shield as always for supporting the podcast. Love having them. be part of what we're doing over here. And as always, you can use code UEPOD to receive 5% off over at dragonshield.com. Or you can just use the link down in the description on the YouTube.
Yeah, appreciate that. Using that code does help to support us, but also gets you a little bit of a discount when you're buying your sleeves. And with that, let's move on to Guess That Flavor Text, the game we play every single week where one of us picks a card, has the other person try to figure out what that flavor text. We read the flavor text, the other person guesses what Pokemon that belongs to, yada yada. We get the drill. I did see something recently in like one of the Pokemon handbooks. I don't remember what I was looking at. But officially in like a Pokemon handbook, that line of the Pokemon card is called the Pokedex entry. It's not called flavor text.
Oh.
But we're
What
still
is-
calling it Guess That Flavor Text because that's what it is in all of our hearts. And yeah, the way the game works, we each or one person gets a chance to try to guess what the card is. You do get some lifelines to utilize. Those are what set the card is from, what stage the card is, and read an attack name. You get 4 points if you don't use any lifeline, and you lose a point for each lifeline you do use. I jumped pretty far ahead last week
Yeah.
with the Heatmore guess, 3 points ahead for me. So I am now up 19-11. Azul's
Gotta
got
make a
some
comeback here.
up.
Yeah. Gonna do my best here, Chip. Hit me with this week's flavor text.
They give off a sweet and refreshing scent. Cutiefly often gather near the tall grass where blank are hiding.
They often give off. All right, give it to me one more time.
They often give off a sweet and refreshing scent. Cutiefly often gather near the tall grass where blank are hiding.
So the first Pokemon that comes to mind, well, it says where blank is hiding. I was gonna say Sunflora because it's like a flower, but they give off a sweet and refreshing scent, but then they also hide in the tall grass. I feel like I've heard like this one. I've got something coming to mind, but I gotta use some lifelines here for sure. All right, so just give me the set of the card.
It is from Sun and Moon base set.
Sun and Moon base set. I don't really have too much to work off with that, to be honest. I'm trying to think of like cards that came out back then. Like if they give off a sweet scent, it makes me think of like flower Pokemon. But I don't think it's Klefki. Oh, I guess it could be Comfey though.
Hold on for 1
Hold up.
second.
What?
Do you think Klefki is a flower?
No, Klefki is a key.
Okay. I just needed to
Okay.
make sure we were on the
It
same
could
page
be
there.
it could be Comfey, but I actually don't know what generation Comfey is, to be honest. I have no idea what generation Comfey is. I don't think there was a Comfey back then. Is Comfey like a newer Pokemon? Comfey and Klefki are like the same Pokemon to me. I don't know why. So it's not. It could be.
I
Comfey,
can tell
though.
you that.
And then
Should I help Azul in these instances? Let us know in the comments. Like, should I help Azul out with like what generations Pokemon are from?
so it's not. So it's not from. It wouldn't be a Comfey. Okay, good to know.
Well, no, it could be.
Okay.
Comfey came out in the Sun and Moon generation. It's when
Oh.
Comfey was first introduced.
Okay. What stage is the Pokemon?
It's a basic.
All right, I'm gonna lock in Comfey.
For 2 points potentially.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else at this point, so we just gotta lock it in.
All right. Well, maybe you should have used one more lifeline because
Not Comfey.
it's not Comfey.
All right, well, give me the attack name, and I'll see if I can get it after.
This Pokemon has 2 attacks. One of them is Synthesis. And the other one is Leafage. And I'll give you one more hint, Azul.
All right, go for it. Oh, I know what it is. No, go for it.
You don't know what it is?
Well, I think I know what it is now, but I don't know.
You have definitely announced Synthesis on this Pokemon in a tournament.
Is it the basic of Lurantis?
It is Fomantis. Azul won a regionals with this card in his deck, by the way.
I don't know if I use Synthesis. I don't know if I use the first attack.
I don't know if you said it either.
Synthesis. Yeah, I don't think I used the first. Maybe
For
I
sure,
doubt
at
it.
some point, right?
I don't know. I played it for one tournament.
Yeah.
I didn't want to use I didn't want to use it. That's for sure. I did not want to use its first attack. I can tell you that much.
Azul won the Toronto Regional Championships with Fomantis, and he doesn't even do it the justice of remembering its name.
I don't remember the foe. That's a weird looking Pokemon.
It's a
Yeah.
flower.
I would have never gotten this one, to be honest. Yeah, I never would have got the
Dang,
Fomantis.
man. I thought I was
All I
helping
could
you
come up with.
out. You've like played this card.
But I didn't use that attack. That
Oh,
attack's
come
terrible.
on. Well, Lurantis doesn't have any flavor text.
What about the other Lurantis?
You didn't play that one.
Yeah, but still, it would be something.
I like to give you ones that
You
you've
did.
played because it's hilarious when you get them wrong. This Lurantis.
Yeah, what's the...
It requires a lot of effort to maintain Lurantis's vivid coloring, but some collectors enjoy this work and treat it as their hobby. Oh, dude, that's a good one.
Yeah. I would have like guessed Pavilion or something with that one.
Yeah.
That would have been my guess.
Well, you'll have to guess again in 2 weeks, and I'm gonna try to advance my lead next week.
Sheesh. It's getting pretty tough, to be honest.
You're gonna have to step it up, buddy. I'll try to help you out a little bit when I
There's actually
can.
one point where I was in the lead. At one point, I was 8-7. I'm looking at the spreadsheet right now.
Yeah, but like 4 weeks, right? It's because I was feeling bad for you.
All right, let's move on. Next up, new sets are out. I guess the first one we can make quick here is Paldean Fates is out here, in the U.S. and everywhere else. I guess that's like not. I mean, in Japan they've already had this set, but
Yeah.
not too much. Honestly, I've been playing with it the last couple days, today and yesterday, and it's just been like like it's just been not fun. Like there's nothing's good, and then there's not supposed to be really. Like it is kind of a collector set, whatever, but it is just kind of, yeah. I mean, I don't know, like a set release and like everything sucks. Like I don't know.
Yeah, there's some like minor things. The Charmeleon
Yeah.
is decent for Charizard once that becomes legal. It's not legal for Knoxville this weekend, so don't try to put this in your deck for Knoxville.
Can you even play the
Melbourne.
reprints? Should we put out a? You can't use the reprints either yet, right?
You can.
You sure?
Yes.
Okay, my bad.
Yes. Dude, people were literally playing with the shinies in their decks at Liverpool.
Well, I saw someone tweet out that you can't use like the Prize Pack 4 reprints
Because they've not been officially released.
Oh, so this is officially released, so you can. Oh, so you
Yes.
can use
You can
officially
You
released.
can use
reprints.
reprinted cards immediately upon their official release date.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, now I know. But you have to wait 2 weeks for cards that are not just reprints that are new. Okay.
But this set has done it's more than just like a collector set. It also reintroduces a bunch of cards into the market, right? There's a lot more
Yeah.
Ionos on the market, a lot more Nestballs. Iono had been like a $3-4 card almost. Definitely comes down here with the release of this on TCG Player. Well, it is sold out on TCG Player apparently. Nope, 38 cents. So, I mean, that's definitely a good thing. Even like Charizard EX gets a reprint in this set. This is a card that had been pretty consistently, $8, $10, something like that. And then now this Paldean Fates version on TCG Player, is $5, $6. So stuff like that is definitely important. It's not really stuff we talk about too often, though. We mostly are just looking at the competitive value of like the new cards. And yeah, like you said, there's really nothing super crazy in here.
Yeah, nothing
that's
wild.
new.
Couple upgrades, but like no new archetype. There's like the Espathra, which is like the best card, best EX I think out of the set, the Espathra, but yeah, that's it.
In our video that we did on Paldean Fates, you were talking about how Paldean Student Engine is something you think could has some potential. What do you think about the Paldean Student Engine?
It's probably not good, but like I just like think like playing with it in that video. I was like, this actually,
it was better than you had thought it would be.
Yeah, like you play it, you get any one card as long as you have some draw engine around it, like B-Barrel or Curlias or something. Play 1, go get your B-Barrel. Play 2, get another something and a something, and then play 3, you get 3 somethings. Like
I think with this card, I think if this card had not restricted you from getting rule box Pokemon, I could see it being okay. But, like, the fact that you can't get rule box Pokemon with it, like, you can't go get
Yeah.
your stage 2 for most of the decks in the format right now.
I guess even if you could, it honestly wouldn't be that good probably.
Exactly. That's, like, that's why I'm saying, like, the restriction I don't even think, was necessary.
Yeah.
There
I
is
mean, that's
the Crisis Punch. This is another big card from the set.
oh, I guess this is probably the biggest card from the set, to be honest. This is probably
Yeah.
the one.
It's a, technical machine, Crisis Punch. You attach it to a Pokemon, and the Pokemon this card is attached to can use the attack on this card, and then you discard it at the end of that turn. And the attack is Crisis Punch, 280 damage for 3 colorless energy. That's a lot of damage. Very manageable energy cost, but you can only use this attack when your opponent has exactly 1 prize card remaining.
Yeah. So there's like ways you can like combo this with like Cramorant. You can use it for free. You still have to wait for that one prize card, so you can send up a Cram, put a Crisis Punch on it, you're hitting for 280.
All
That's
right,
kind of chill.
you ready for the
Um,
sauce?
Go ahead.
What can you predict what card I'm going to show you?
Rapid Strike Jump Bluff. I already tried it out. It's terrible.
Ah, but you can take 4 prizes.
Well, it doesn't quite work that way because they get to send up the new Pokemon.
Yeah. You can
But
take 3 prizes.
and then you like need to set it up with like a Rapid Strike energy and a basic energy. Because if you use reversal, your reversal turns off halfway through your sequence, and then your
Yeah.
second attack can't even use Crisis Shot. So yeah, nope, not very good. But put on a Cram. You can do some other weird stuff. Like you could play it. Like, to be honest, you could like play it in Arceus, and now your Arceus deck has a way to 1-hit KO a Tina at the end of the game if you can get them on one prize card.
You can
Like,
play it in, like, Miraidon.
yeah, you can play it in Miraidon, and then but your opponent see this with these decks, your opponent doesn't ever go on odd prize cards.
Yeah.
And they don't want to either.
Yeah, that is the
So
issue.
so that's kind of the problem with
And
the
also once they know it, they can, like, actively not.
yeah, they will actively try to not go on odd prize cards, but yeah.
Oh, wait. This is the real big card.
No, the big card is this card is like, well, I mean, this one might be as impactful as Crisis Punch, to be honest, which tells you how bad this set is because this isn't going to be that impactful.
And that
Parties
is
will play
the
it.
Moonlit Hill. Once during each player's turn, that player may discard a basic psychic energy card from their hand in order to heal 30 damage from each of their Pokemon.
Yeah, so you're gonna play it in Guardy. It gives you a way to accelerate energy into your discard pile. The big thing with this card, though, is it allows your Shiny Arcana to more easily build up to big numbers without reversal energy. So you could accelerate 6 psychic energy to a Shiny Arcana, use Moonlit Hill, discard a psychic energy, accelerate 2 more psychic energy, attach return, and I have 9 psychics on a Shiny Arcana Gardevoir. And if you're ahead in the game, you're 1-hit KOing stuff like Mew VMAX without reversal energy. So
Yeah, I
it'll
wonder
be
if there
played
could
as a
be
one-of
room
for
for, like,
sure.
an aggressive Gardevoir deck that doesn't even play reversal energy, but it's pretty hard to be aggressive when you're a multi-stage 2 deck, right?
Yeah, and I actually wonder if this card will, like, make everyone drop Cresselia. Like, do you play Cresselia anymore when you have this? Because you get to do I don't know, maybe you play both? That seems kinda weird, but you definitely play one Moonlit Hill, I think, for sure. Like, you're just gonna play one Moonlit Hill.
Card's too
Um,
good.
yeah, once again, like, this we're not gonna see the effects of these cards until Dortmund, right? Dortmund, will they have this stuff legal?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be legal next weekend.
Yeah, so for Dortmund, yeah.
Yeah. So not legal this weekend, legal next weekend. But what is legal right now in a different part of the world is the cards that will make up our temporal forces set. So it is Wild Force / Cyber Judge in Japan.
Yep.
It's definitely annoying that we're in this kind of awkward time frame right now where they get these cards so much earlier than us. We talked about it a couple weeks ago, but it is really unfortunate. We're just kind of sitting here twiddling our thumbs with this format,
These long
watching them have all the
formats
fun.
we had this last year with Scarlet and Violet when it dropped. Like these long formats really suck. Like I don't know like how they could adjust the release schedule around it, but having us like lined up because we like the last couple sets were literally like a week and 2 weeks separate from
Yeah,
Japan.
it was so
right?
nice.
Yeah, but now we're like back into this long format where this is literally what we had last year with Scarlet and Violet, where it's like they rotated in January, we rotate end of March. We're in it again here. 2 more months until we actually get these cards that Japan has, and it's
Maybe
just like
they'll
kind
move
of
EUIC up next year.
I feel like they don't even need to do that. You don't have to have the ICs align with the set
It's
releases.
definitely better that they align though, and it feels like that's kind of like I mean, just based on, like, what has been happening, that's like
What what were the set release days this year? It was Scarlet and Violet came out in March.
yeah,
Then we got what was the next one after that? I don't even remember. Paldean
how they
Fate.
evolved.
How they evolved. Came out in
Whenever, NAIC was.
AIC.
Hang on, I'm pulling up the list on
And then
Bulbapedia.
After was like the November set, October set. I don't remember. I'm trying to think if it like could be
No
lined up
new set
differently.
legal for Worlds was definitely a little bit of a bummer. It was right after Worlds, so,
Yeah.
like, it feels like they wanted it, but it didn't quite work out.
Yeah. So then but that came out in August, and then we had Paradox Rift in November.
Yeah.
And then Temporal Forces once again in March. What if they move Temporal Forces to January? But I guess it doesn't work. I guess it still works for a 4, but it's not like every 3 months, it's like every 2 months. And then there's like a big gap.
Yeah, I mean, I think in a perfect world, they would even want Paldean Fates to come out, like, the beginning of December, to be honest, right? Like, this
Yeah.
is, like, a perfect holiday Christmas set, right?
Yep. Yeah. Definitely. I mean, yeah, I feel like it would be nice to see them adjust the schedule around where we just basically perfectly aligned with Japan or closely aligned with because Obsidian Flames and Paldea or Paradox Rift, Obsidian Flames both came out a week and 2 weeks around Japan. But 151 was split differently though. 151 came out like 2 months afterwards or a month afterwards. Yeah, we might just never be able to get a perfect but I don't know, but the stuff in Japan releases over in Japan regularly, right? So how can we not line up with them where it's like they're getting regular stuff, so we'd still be getting regular stuff, but we're on the same schedule? I don't know. Seems weird that we can't do that.
You know, I have a good feeling that those conversations are definitely, like, happening with the people who, release sets over here.
Well, it seems like
Like
it, yeah, because like we see that it's getting closer and closer, but this long format feels so bad. It'd be nice if the other formats were a little bit longer for the sake of this format being shorter, I guess.
So, to close out the episode this week, we're going to just take a quick look at some of the decks that have been doing well early in the new meta over in Japan. So, that is another thing about Japan as well. For us, cards come out and then you have to wait 2 weeks after release to play them. In Japan, they're legal to play the second you like can get your hands on the cards. So, people have already been playing. The set came out this past weekend. The people have already played tournaments, and we're
Yeah,
looking at some city league results, which are effectively the same thing as
hiccups.
league cups. And just looking at kind of what the meta has broken down, Charizard being the most popular still, because they
Yeah.
also did have rotation as well, right? They get the new set and they had rotation.
Yeah, and I feel like Charizard really doesn't lose very much. Like we lose VIP pass, but you get the Buddy Poffin, so you're kind of still cruising.
Yeah, and a lot of the lists are looking like the Charizard lists at least are looking really similar to what we see currently with the Pidgeot, with the Rotom, all that stuff.
Poffins
They
over VIP passes.
they do have the Poffins. They also have the A-Specs, and I am surprised that there are so many people playing the Rigid Belt, to be honest, but it makes sense. We saw Prime Catcher. It was one of the first ones they revealed, and we are like, this card is just broken. How is anyone ever going to play any other card? But then as these other aspects got revealed, you kind of can understand, okay, there can be an argument for some of these other cards in certain decks. And the Rigid Band says that you deal 50 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon EX. So that can help you hit a lot of numbers with the decks that people are playing it in, and
I was
it's
literally
mainly
gonna. I
Charizard
was.
and the Giratina decks.
Yeah, I was about to ask what EX is this Charizard hitting, but I guess Charizard.
Yeah, Charizard.
I was like, there's Tina's like because like all the
Well,
other
it also
decks
lets you hit
like
Chien-Pao when they haven't taken a knockout.
yeah. So I guess you can be the aggressor now with the rigid band. It does allow you to be the aggressor
Right
for
on.
sure. Gudra.
Gudra. Well, that is
Let's
a
go.
Pokemon V.
Well, it's just there. I just saw it.
Oh, you're just mentioning. Yeah, so
Yeah.
there's been some Arceus decks that are still like popping up here. Arctina has done decently as well. It looks like this is also just the results from one single city league here. If we scroll
Yeah.
down, we can see there's quite a few Chien-Pao decks doing well. playing the
That's what
Iron
we saw
Hands,
at
playing
the
the
beginning of
Kyogre.
the Paradox Rift format. That's what we saw as well. People were touting Chien Pao's like the BDIF, and we even saw in like the Elite Four Japan tournament, everyone was playing the Chien Pao hands.
Yeah.
Um, we're just seeing a little bit more of that again. Is that the Chien Pao hands
And they do have
syndrome?
the Crypto Maniacs Decoding, the new
Ooh,
supporter card, lets you put the top
that good.
2 cards on top. I mean, it combos with Radiant Greninja, combos with Bibarel, combos with
Comes with
Pokestop.
Pokestop. Okay, I can get behind that. I can get behind that. Yeah. Also, the canceling clone combo is now just 2 cards instead of 3. And with 3 cards that you have to play 6 of, but now you just have Prime Catcher,
Well,
canceling clone.
yeah, Prime Catcher, yeah, because there's cross switchers have rotated, can't use those
Oh, that's true. I
anymore.
didn't even think about that. They're just gone. They don't have a choice. You can't even play a bad Chien Pao list anymore. You have to play a good one.
And there's been a little bit of the, there's been this, like, one prizer ancient box deck that's popped up a little bit. The Roaring Moon has, like, a
Yo, the
revenge attack.
Dunsparce. Let's go. The Dun draw power.
Yeah, the Dodon. There was I saw a list on Twitter that was like a Tinkaton list that had the Dodon Sparse, which is pretty funny. Tinkaton EX does more damage for each card you have in your hand. It was playing like Nemona and Nemona's backpack as well. But yeah, I mean, it's just cool. There's like a lot of experimenting going on right now. Here's another person with that ancient revenge box deck. I think it
It's
does
kind of
like
cool.
70 base damage and then 10 more for each ancient Pokemon in your discard, something like that.
Oh, that one. Oh, I was gonna say, like, yeah, what is the damage I put on that thing? I don't even know. But yeah, that's not that even that many ancient cards in your. I guess for all ancient cards though, right? It's not just Pokemon.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What
I
is
guess
it?
as
Is
you
it
play your
6?
supporters. Maybe that
Battle
is good.
supporters.
New one prize that could be pretty sick to be honest.
Yeah, and
20.
Ethan Heggy has been, tweeting some results and stuff, so if you're looking for, something that's a little bit more digestible, as far as, like, being able to read it, you can check out Ethan's Twitter. He's got, some lists and stuff like that. This is something that, like, just scrolling through the, Pokeka website, really not a lot of the, Raging Bolt being played.
That's
But
good.
Ethan did share a list of someone who did win a city league with a list.
I mean, Raging Ball at the end of the day is literally just another 2 prize beat stick Pokemon. It's literally Roaring Moon, it's Golden Go, um, it's mid probably. It's probably just gonna end up being mid. Even because like so I put Miraidon like a tier above those just because Miraidon has something like Iron Hands. Um, yeah, having something like Iron Hands I think makes a big difference. Being able to just like win so fast that and your opponent has like way less control over the pace of the game because they can't be like, oh, I'm just gonna send up a one prizer for a turn and you can have one prize card. And the hands is like, nope, I'll have two. And you're like, wait, you'll have two. And then it gets out of control really fast. But like the other decks don't really have that. So I definitely that's why I like give Maraudon a little bit of the like before pre Iron Hands, Maraudon was just another two prize beat stick deck that tried to draw two prize cards. But now it's become something a little bit more powerful.
Here's an old favorite that's popped back up again, the Lugia V-Star. Do you know what this Chinchino does?
70 damage for each special energy card attached to it.
Yep.
Yep. He can be swinging.
That's 280 with 4 attached for turn. You know, you're one hit KO and everything.
Yeah, pretty much. You're going through it all. Yeah, I mean, it could be good to be honest. You don't need to take that many knockouts, right? You
I
don't
think
need
the
to take
big
that many
problem with this
KOs.
deck is you don't have Professor Burnett anymore. That rotated.
Yeah. What was the? I saw someone tweet out. What was it? It was Lugia, Archeops, Pokestop, and then the new supporter card that puts two cards on top of
Oh,
your
the
deck.
Cryptomaniacs
Yeah, and
decoding.
Cryptomania. That's probably not good.
That is the
Um,
mega Burnett at home energy, right?
yeah. Do we have does Mezagoza rotate or do we still have Mezagoza?
Messagoza is in the format still.
Okay, so you have
It's
that. But
Scarlet
yeah,
and Violet card.
yeah, no Burnett
Messagoza is a
honestly.
location in the Scarlet and Violet video games.
No Burnett honestly. Well, you see they have the budget Burnett there. They got the Jack plus Ultra Ball.
Yep.
Hey. That just sounds not good, but it is there. It does exist. But
You
yeah, it's
gotta
kind of
do what
cool.
you gotta do, right?
Yeah, getting the Archeops into this card pile is definitely a struggle for sure. But if you can figure it out, it might be good enough. It might be good again.
But yeah, there's still just tons of exploration being done. Part of me wonders with the, we mentioned how cards are like legal as soon as they come out. So I feel like people are still probably getting their hands on some of the new stuff potentially. So, more and more weeks into the format. And really with that first Champions League coming up in a couple weeks, we'll get some truly solid results to kind of base our early like EUIC metagame predicting on, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's some cards that they don't I don't know for sure. Is there some cards that they don't have yet that they're gonna get kind of around the time that we get cards as well?
I think they've got everything, man.
Maybe they got because I don't see any future box decks here. They have
Oh,
all
it's
the
been in
future
here.
cards? Oh, okay, okay. They have all the future stuff. Okay, yeah.
It's just not that good, man. I don't know.
All right, hold on. Let me get my hands on it real fast. Let me
It seems good, and you're just having, what's it
I
called?
got the little guy.
Rose tinted glasses,
Oh, they got
right?
the little guy
Thinking
that
about
accelerates
plasma.
energy. No, we're cooking. We're cooking.
Dude, but it's so slow.
What do you mean? He KOs your Ralts, and then I get 2 energy out of
Why
him.
am I playing Gardevoir?
That's true. Yeah, never mind. He KOs. What are you playing?
I'm playing Charizard. So you
He
get to KO
KOs
my
your Charmander.
Charmander,
Yeah, I got your
okay?
Charmander.
Now my board is Charizard, Pidgeot.
I got Virizions.
You have a Virizion, and you get to do it once.
Maybe I play 2.
Maybe you play 2, but you don't get to do it twice because you have to attack with the little guy that does 40 damage in order to
We
get
have
enough
the
grass energy in play.
A spec.
Okay.
Okay.
Honestly, that's pretty good.
Doesn't it pull all the energy together? The
It
Virizion does, right?
does. Yeah,
So
the
we put
Virizion
energy on
absorbs the
everyone.
grass energies.
It's them all together. All right, I beat you. What am I playing against in round 2?
No, what did you do about my third Charizard EX though? Because you took a one prize knockout on my.
That's true. You know what? Maybe I didn't KO the Charmander. I just hit it for 60.
Oh, okay.
'Cause
Poke him.
I didn't bench. Yeah, I just poked him. I didn't actually draw the prize card, so you can't KO any of my
A
2
little
prizes.
poke, just a little
I
poke.
guess I had to triple Virizion you, to be honest. I don't think I had another out.
You're playing 3 Virizion?
Or maybe I Iron Hands here, Pidgeot. Maybe that's the there we go.
Ooh, okay, facts.
We do play the future booster capsules.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I think the future box is better than the ancient stuff. Once I saw everything, that's my kind of my current take.
Yeah,
But
there's a couple of the future box decks, but there's like basically none of the Raging Bolt deck, just a little bit.
it's just a 2 prize beat stick, man. It's literally Reshiram, but less hyped up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
so less hyped up
Sada's
Reshiram.
Vitality is a little bit better than In's Resolve.
It's true. That card kind of sucked. Is that how we had to accelerate energy? Did we have Max Elixir at least? We had
No,
Max Elixir as
dude.
well,
It
didn't
was
we?
In's Resolve, and you rated it
Yeesh.
like the second best card in Cosmic Eclipse and totally ignored ADP.
Wait, Reshiram or Ends Resolve?
Reshiram.
Ugh, yikes. Yeah, that was a yikes, to be honest. ADP was pretty good. It was like not. It wasn't broken initially, but it got pretty good pretty fast.
But that's just some early results from Japan. We'll be keeping our eyes on what else is doing well. Keep you guys updated on the meta over there as we get into the new format. Before you know it, rotation just around the corner. It's an exciting time in the Pokemon TCG. Everything gets to feel a little fresh. A lot more people start playing the game as well. So yeah, looking forward to it. And if you guys are wanting to keep up with us, you can be sure to do that by subscribing here on the YouTube channel. Follow us on whatever podcasting platform you're listening on. And you can also follow us over on Twitter. Follow myself at Chip Ritchie. Azul is at Azul_GG. And you can follow the podcast at Uncommon_Energy.
Appreciate the support as always. Guess good luck to anyone in Melbourne, not Knoxville, because I'll be competing in that one. So no good luck to you. And then
Bad
we'll
luck.
y'all bad luck to you. And then we'll catch y'all next Wednesday, 7 a.m. Eastern.
Go
Peace.
check out the new YouTube channel as well.
Go check that out.
See you guys.